Tell me if you can hear me now. Let me know if you can hear me. I don't know why the hell this happens. Nayland, thank you for the $4.99 super chat, Nayland. Appreciate you, Nayland. It's weird as fuck. I don't know why it turns my mic off sometimes. But I've been kind of busy, kind of down. I've had some stuff I'm dealing with in my personal life. Nothing crazy, just normal stuff, but parenting stuff. And it's just been consuming a lot of my time. So I've been trying to do that and deal with that. I just found out that somebody who used to watch my lives passed away. It's just not been a good day. Not that it's the first time I've heard someone who used to watch my lives passed away, but I've heard that before. But every time I hear it, it's sad. Nayland, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you. Angel Blue Eyes, thank you for the $1 super chat. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Heavenly, thank you for the floating heart for 10 jewels. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Heavenly, appreciate you, Ivy. Joe Rains, thank you for the Lucky Clover for 4 jewels. Appreciate you. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. I wasn't going to come on tonight, but look, see, I'm here. I'm here because I am dedicated to my craft, so I would appreciate, obviously, supporting in any way that you can. I would appreciate it. But yeah, that's what I've been dealing with. Just seems like it's one of those things where I'm getting bad news, like consecutive things in a row. This happens every once in a while in life. You feel like you're consistently getting, news that's not positive in a row. And to be quite honest with you, like, my mental health's not 100% because obviously I do political stuff and it's negative. So every once in a while it weighs on you, but so sometimes it can get you down a little bit, but I'm dealing with it. Marianne, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate you, Marianne. When it rains, it pours, right? So, but we continue with the war in Iran. Things are escalating slowly. Couple things that I think were originally, I thought at least, were conspiracies that are starting to gain some traction. No one knows where Benjamin Netanyahu is. I didn't give that a tremendous amount of credibility when that whole theory started, but he hasn't shown his face in several days now, which is pretty unusual. There are some photographs being spread on social media that show a body that people are claiming is Netanyahu. To me, I'm pretty sure it's AI, although AI won't confirm it's AI, which is furthering the conspiracies. But nobody knows where Netanyahu is. JD Vance has completely vanished. He doesn't want anything to do with endorsing the war in Iran because he doesn't want it to hurt his electoral chances. Obviously, he wants to become the president at some point. And Stephen Miller wants to become the president at some point. Peter Thiel wants him to become the president at some point. So they're kind of hiding him, from the public. So it's kind of weird. There's a lot of weird stuff happening, but that's normal during war. You have all this propaganda. You don't know what to believe. So that's why I just tell people to remain skeptical. That's the most healthy thing that you can possibly do. Violet, thank you for becoming a Muppet Master. Appreciate you, Violet. Thank you so much. I was thinking of some glimmer today. Fries the juice in the ballpark. In the 90s. Chance magical meeting. I don't know what you're talking about, Justice. Maybe it's just late, but I don't know what you mean. He's kissing a wall somewhere, yeah. But I think J.D. Vance really wants to become the president at some point, so I think that's why he's hiding. I really do. I think that's why you cannot find these people right now. Now, Netanyahu, I think, is weird. I don't think he's been seen since the 10th. Today's the 14th. Listen, I will really start to give these credibility if he's missing for 7 days. I think the 10th was the last confirmed public sighting, if he is not seen by the 17th, I will start to give them more credibility. If he's not seen by the 17th. I don't want to jump on, I just think it's kind of weird that Netanyahu hasn't been seen in several days. I think that's super fucking weird, but I don't think that he wants to show his face right now because I don't think he wants to be located. Because obviously he knows that they would love to kill him. So, Adam, remember it was rumored he had blood cancer. You're talking about Netanyahu? Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's up with that. I think it's super, super strange. Chevy, thank you for the $5 super chat, bro. Appreciate you. Maybe Rubio will be president. Who knows? Well, I believe the ticket is already set in stone. I think it's Netanyahu. I think it's Vance and Rubio. But he's not going to be seen if Iran's leader has been. Well, Iran's leader reportedly is disfigured. So that's why he has not been seen, according to U.S. intelligence anyway. That he was injured. That he was injured significantly in that latest strike. And that there's even some sources out there claiming he is in a coma, that he's not even conscious. But I don't know if that's true. The clearly AI video he released is just so weird. Again, I don't know if that video is AI. I looked at it close. I slowed it down. I mean, the whole thing is just weird. I mean, I don't know what's going on. But, I mean, if he's not seen by the 17th, I think he's probably dead. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. The whole situation is fucking weird. But that's the problem, right? We don't even know what to believe at this point. Like, we're stuck in this, hellhole of propaganda from our own government, from Israel. I mean, do we even have a country anymore? You were right the first time, our leader is Bibi. Yeah, pretty much. At least when it comes to war, when it comes to decisions like this, it certainly is. Sheffy, thank you for being a member for 13 months. Do appreciate you. So, I don't know. That's where we are, folks. I mean, it's very confusing times right now. Yesterday was the most significant attacks that we've seen. But again, all reports are claiming that Trump's team is scrambling to contain the mess that is Iran now. And it just frustrates the hell out of me because how can I, as a political commentator, a citizen with access to all the same information as normal people, make a determination that this is going to happen? How do I know that Iran is going to take these particular steps to drag out this war and they don't? You know what I mean? It's just, it scares the hell out of me. Somebody in the chat said, Adam, imagine living under a government like Iran. Well, we live under a government that's incredibly oppressive. I don't think this isn't the oppression Olympics, okay? But the United States government, the administration currently is oppressive, is oppressing people, is murdering civilians, okay? What the fuck are you saying? They're making moves while enjoying success and safe and healthy lives for their families. Who are you talking about? Bibi? Man, shut the hell up. Trump's going to back out now. I mean, I don't know what Trump's going to do. I mean, he can't really back out because you have to maintain some kind of presence to keep. They're going to keep targeting the Strait of Hormuz. So you have a situation there that is becoming more and more serious. Other countries get involved. It becomes a clusterfuck. But he really can't. He really can. It's not even about, morally can he, because, could it cause a negative impact on the Iranian people? He quite literally can't because they have the ability to affect the global economy in really significant ways. So he's kind of stuck there now, which is what we feared from the very beginning. I think he would love to back out. I think he'd love to try and de-escalate it now. But here's the problem. I said it from the beginning. Alicia, thank you for the $5 super chat, Alicia. I said this from the beginning. The plan was to decapitate the leadership and hope that the Iranian people would uprise, and it did not fucking work. It was a flat-out military failure. And this is not the first one. Trump supporters should recognize that, right? Operation Midnight Hammer, also a failure, clearly. Otherwise, we wouldn't be using the same justification for this war that they're weeks away from weapons-grade enriched uranium. As it turns out, you can't just start a war. Exactly, Tiller. As it turns out, this is not a game. As it turns out, this is not a game, folks. This is not some game where you get to just test, and wield your power to the best of your ability, and then worst case scenario, just withdraw. That's not the way this works. Guys, hold on 1 second. I'm going to, I have a clip I need to play here, and I'm just going to use the bathroom while I do it. I was telling people, I found out someone that watches my lives today passed away. Somebody told me, and it's just extremely depressing because I've also been dealing with some other personal shit that I've been trying to deal with simultaneously. And so I keep getting bad news, like negative, depressing news every single day for some fucking reason. And so I've been dealing with that. I wasn't going to come on here tonight, but here I am. So this is just from a few hours ago, the Iranian foreign minister speaking on MS Now. And I really wanted to play this because I thought it was pretty significant, important, a lot of good information. So let's just play this really quick. I'm just going to use the bathroom really quick. But if you guys could please hit the share button, hit the thumbs up button, and do all those things, I would really appreciate it so we can try and get on to the FYP. I would appreciate it.
Arakshi, thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. I wanted to start with the news overnight that the U.S. has carried out a military strike on Kharg Island. The President of the United States said that for reasons of decency, I have chosen not to wipe out all the oil infrastructure on the island. However, should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I will immediately reconsider this decision. Let me start by asking you about what has happened on Kharg Island and what is Iran's response to these strikes.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think our armed forces have already answered that they would retaliate if our oil and energy infrastructure are attacked. And they will attack any energy infrastructure in the region which belongs to an American company or an American company is a shareholder. So the reaction would be clear. Last night, they have attacked Khark Island and Abu Musa Island with, the artillery rocket system, HIMARS as they call it, which is a low-range rockets. And they have done it from the soil of our neighbors. And this is crystal clear that now they are using.
Somebody in chat said this seems like another Afghanistan. Yeah, I believe it's very similar. Afghanistan, Iraq, but worse. I think it could be worse. And I think this regime is, or this, I say this regime, I'm even calling the Trump administration this regime. This administration is aware enough that they do not want to have or at least give the appearance that this is going to be another Iraq, and they may prematurely withdraw, making the situation far worse. Again, just for people joining, this is Iran's foreign minister, okay, talking about the strikes from the United States.
The territory of our neighbors to attack us by these kind of, rockets. And this is absolutely unacceptable.
Which neighbors, sir?
Well, the last night attacks were tracked by our forces, and now it is clear that they are fired from UAE, from two locations in the UAE, from in Ras Al Khaimah and from a location very close to the city of Dubai. And it is very, dangerous that they use highly populated areas to launch.
Let me just say, I think it's funny that the foreign minister of Iran has better English than the president of the United States.
Rockets against us. We would certainly retaliate, but we try to be careful not to attack any populated area.
This is really fantastic journalism. Shout out to MS Now, who really has fallen off majorly, for really getting both sides of the story. That's the kind of journalism we need. We need to hear from both sides. We don't need to hear just U.S. propaganda from this administration. Corey, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you, Corey.
Is there any sign that Iran is prepared to allow passage of the Straits of Hormuz? Will the Straits of Hormuz remain closed so long as this war continues?
Well, as a matter of fact, the Strait of Hormuz is open. It is only closed to the tankers and ships belong to our enemies, to those who are attacking us and their allies. Others are free to pass. Of course, many of them prefer not because of their security concerns. This has nothing to do with us. And at the same time, there are many tankers and ships who are passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and I can say that the strait is not closed, but it is only closed to American, Israeli,
Bad
ships
news.
and tankers, and not to others.
Bad news. Bad news. Adam, did you see Trump and Jake Paul glazing each other in their interview? I did. It was disgusting. Jake Paul's a dirtbag, and so is Donald Trump. So it's no surprise that those two are glazing each other, No surprise that those two clowns find common ground on any issue. His brother literally filmed dead people. So, it doesn't get any worse than that, Not shocked at all. I think Trump, through Barron Trump, probably recognized, the importance of connecting with the youth through influencers, social media influencers. I think they recognize they can exploit that market. There are a lot of, young men, vulnerable, that think Trump is cool because he kills leaders of other countries. The propaganda on TikTok alone would convince any undereducated, 18-year-old boy, really at that point, that Trump is an American hero, a good guy. If you're on a particular algorithm, right? If you fall victim to this algorithmic propaganda, it's possible you fall for this nonsense. You could be a Jake Paul fan, and you could believe if Jake Paul is talking to him, that means he's a good person. This is how simple people are, and they recognize and exploit those things. I wish the Democratic Party recognized the importance of connecting with political commentators. Like Kamala Harris would have done herself a lot of favor by connecting more with those. She didn't. They didn't. I hope Democrats don't make that mistake again. But we'll see. Trump, the strait is open. Oil tankers can't get into the U.S. Navy. Now it's too dangerous. Yeah, it's not open. It's not open. It is absolutely not open to the United States. So he's full of crap. I saw Jake Paul and said, doesn't he have a jaw to heal? Yeah, he's a clown. He's a complete clown. Those Pauls are weird. By the way, if you guys don't know who Jake Paul's dad is, I did some research on him at one point during the election because the Paul brothers were so advocating for Trump to become the president. Their father is a weirdo, like a straight up weirdo. He's like, first of all, he got in trouble at one point for obviously preying on young girls. He made out with an 18-year-old girl or something when he was 50 something, which I think is disgusting. He's been accused of a whole bunch of things, weird things, but he's a huge Trump supporter, so no wonder his sons are, and his sons are frauds anyway. Mother of Sassholes, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Hope you're enjoying your vacation. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate you. Still getting burned out over here. Iris is like, now she's doing interviews with Aaron Parnas. She should have done that before the election. Yeah, I agree. Although I don't know about Aaron Parnas, but she definitely should do them. She definitely should do them. She should connect with young political commentators. But she should definitely connect with leftist ones. The sad reality of social media that a lot of people don't recognize is that, and this doesn't include myself, but many of these people are paid by these democratic fucking underground groups, and they don't really spout what they believe in, you know? And I could sit up here all day and say, that's not me, and I only say what I believe in, but people can only choose to believe what they believe. But you guys have to focus on the rhetoric, right? You have to focus on what people say and whether or not you think someone's paying them to say that, right? Before you would believe it. But I know a lot. I know a lot. And there's a lot of, especially in the political commentator space, there are a lot of people who don't care about these issues and they accept money to talk about them, and fuck them too. So, yeah. You need to pay attention to like who's willing to be critical of Israel. Is a major sign. That's a major sign. If someone's not willing to be critical of Israel, someone's not willing to be critical of certain aspects of this war, and they kind of only, you know, spout mainstream media narratives rather than like, you know, recognizing the problematic relationship we have with Israel and how that's affected our government, I would highly recommend you stop following them, because they're only doing this for the money.
We know that Iran has elected a new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. He has not been seen yet in public, though he did issue a statement yesterday. I'm sure you have heard the comments from the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who has said that he claimed the supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. What is the status of the supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei?
This is interesting.
Well, they have made so many claims like this.
So just to say something before the foreign minister answers this question, the United States is claiming that he's disfigured. How would they know that? How would you know that? You know, it's not like he peeked his head out. It's not like you've seen him. Are you just assuming because that woman read the message rather than him? How the hell would you know that? This is why I don't believe anything these people say. They also claim that Iran tried to kill Trump. Like, dude, what? No, they didn't. Like, that's such bullshit, too. I don't fall for this shit anymore. I don't. I refuse to. So.
Yesterday, they said that all Iranian authorities are in the bunkers. But at the same time, the whole world saw our president, the Speaker of Parliament, everybody, the Secretary of our National Security Council, everybody was in the street among the people who demonstrated. So there are lots of accusations like that. They will see soon, I guess, that there is no problem with the new supreme leader. He sent his message yesterday, and he will perform his duties. He is performing his duties according to the Constitution, and he will continue to do that. I think by now it should have been clear, and it should have been known for everybody, that our system is very well rooted in the society. The Islamic Republic is a system which is not dependent on any individual or any group of people. It is well established. It's a very well established political.
By the way, if you are a Trump supporter and you want to call in and you support the war in Iran, I'm willing to take your call. The phone number's right up there, 908-652-3703. Renee, our allies are trying to make backdoor deals with Iran to ship through the Strait. We're going to be so screwed. Totally agree, Renee. And why wouldn't they? This is such a dumb conflict to start with. I would do that. I'd say, listen, this isn't our war, right? We have no problem with you whatsoever, right? And the United States is irrational. And this war is nonsensical, and we don't support it, and so please let our ships pass through. Laura, thank you for the $5 super chat. What's your feelings about Keg's Breath saying no quarter? I heard that's a war crime. I did hear him say that. I called that out when he said that live. We were listening to it on my live stream. I thought it was bizarre. He's a fucking creep, Christian crusader muppet. Chrissy Stars, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. Appreciate you. No comment. Let's keep going here. Yeah, I think no. It's funny because people like to push back on me in the World War III point, but when you look at how this war specifically, when it comes to choking the strait, affects the global economy, it's totally possible. I don't see why people dismiss that as impossible, because it's not. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff happening simultaneously. Folks, we don't know if Benjamin Netanyahu's alive. And I'm not somebody who buys into these conspiracies easily. You guys know, I critically analyze shit. I'm not somebody who believes things, right? Benjamin Netanyahu has not been seen since, I think, the 10th. Tomorrow will be the 5th day during a war he's not made a public appearance. That's weird. That's fucking weird. You're right, it's not just oil being restricted. Correct. But oil's being restricted. I mean, we're talking about 20% of the oil supply there.
Structure and the deep state is doing its
This is a comment I just want to respond to. Alex says, my uncle is dismissing World War III because it's Iran, the madmen, not China and Russia. Does he know who Iran's allies are? Does he know we have negotiations happening right now in Europe with Ukraine and Russia over the Donbass region, that there's significant tensions boiling over there already? Does he know that China wants to invade Taiwan? Does he know that Cuba's under an oil blockade? When you think about all of the things happening simultaneously, it's absolutely possible that it tips over. Is it likely? I don't think so at this point. But could I see how this could lead to something else that leads to World War III? Yes. And here's the thing that concerns me when it comes to the U.S. government. Their unwillingness to dismiss the idea of a draft, I think, is highly concerning. They've been asked multiple times whether or not they would dismiss the idea that U.S. citizens should be concerned about being drafted. Ryan says people speculate Bibi's address was AI and Bibi had 6 fingers because it wasn't really him. Yeah, I'm not buying into that. I did slow it down. Appeared to be a shadow to me. But that being said, that's regardless. It's not just that. It's the fact that he has not been showing his face really. That's part of it. There was also a picture that's been released that that certain AI has claimed is a real. Regardless, he's not been seen, I think, since the 10th is the last confirmed. I think it was the 10th. Regardless, he's not shown his face. So there's growing speculation. And I would if I had to bet money, I'd probably say he's alive, but would it shock me if he died? Here's the thing people are not understanding and why it seems that this is probably not the case. Because you're not getting fed news that shows what's really happening in Israel. They're getting bombarded. Israel is getting struck left and right, but they're not showing you that because Israel doesn't want you to see that. So is it like crazy to assume that he got hit by? No, it's not. I don't think that's crazy to assume. I'd like him to make a public appearance so we can stop talking about it. If he is not seen, I said this before, I will believe this and give this real credibility if he's not seen by the 17th. If we don't see Benjamin Netanyahu by March 17th, mark it on your calendar, he's dead. Today is the 14th. If he's not seen by the 17th, I would lean towards more he was either injured or he's been killed. As at this point, I do not believe he's dead. So I'm not buying into it yet. But if he's not seen in the next few days, I'm going to be thinking he's probably been killed. I don't know, man. It's crazy to think that. But again, Israel's not showing us what's happening, right? We don't know we don't know what Tel Aviv looks like, really. They're not showing us what missiles are making it through their defense systems. Is Netanyahu even in Israel? I thought he heard something. There's been no clarification on that, Edward. There's been no true clarification on that. They've speculated that he's in the United States. They've speculated he was in Germany. But on the 10th, he was seen in Israel. I believe the sighting was at some hospital or something. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Functions is functioning, and everything is in place. So they shouldn't have any hope for anything happen to the individuals. That the system is working. It worked properly after the assassination of the.
Just to say, to clarify, I don't buy the California attacks. That was an FBI report that came out that stated that there would be a vessel parked off the coast that would send drones into California. But this was supposed to be in response to the initial strike, and it never happened. That's why I told people to be skeptical earlier, because I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that either the Mossad or our government decides that a false you-know-what kind of thing is a good idea right now, because they would love to give themselves the moral justification for total annihilation. Why would you be? Wouldn't it be easier if you could give yourself some kind of moral justification? Would the U.S. government be willing to sacrifice U.S. citizens so they could give themselves that justification, so they could get out of this war clean? Because as of right now, the more that this becomes like entangled, the more that this becomes a difficult situation for Trump, the more I fear some kind of false. I'm not going to say the other word. The more this becomes a situation where Trump can't leave, is the more I'm concerned about some kind of attack taking place and us being behind it. I'm very concerned about that.
And martyrdom of our supreme leader, you saw that nothing happened and everything remained in order, and still everything is under control.
I wanted to ask you about the war strategy from an Iranian perspective. Can you tell us right now, as you know, there has been reporting that both Russia and China are targeting intelligence to Iran to target either U.S. positions, facilities, infrastructure across the region. Can you confirm or deny whether Russia or China is providing military support?
Granger knows
they're supposedly supplying intel, is what I was told, what I read, but I don't know. Somebody in the chat said, didn't they consider attacking Florida and blaming Cuba in the past? Yes. This is not without precedent. This has absolutely happened before. Our government has absolutely considered doing these before. You're talking about Operation Northwoods during the Cuban Missile Crisis. There was a plan to... Sorry, I'm trying to skip this ad real quick. Oh, sorry. Stupid fucking... there was a plan to false flag, stage attacks in Florida and blame Cuba to justify the invasion. So same type of stuff. Sinking boats, fake that they shot down an airliner. There was all sorts of things, right? And then they were going to arrest fake Cuban agents and then put it out on television. It was a whole thing. Intel, yes. So Russia specifically was identifying U.S. assets, I believe.
Russia or China is providing the region. Can you confirm or deny whether Russia or China is providing military support and intelligence to Iran?
Well, Russia and China are our strategic partners, and we have had close cooperation in the past, which is still continues, and that includes military cooperation as well.
The person talking about, can we talk about the Epstein files? I literally debated the stuff about the Epstein files today on TikTok. So I have multiple different platforms, not just YouTube. I talk about Epstein on a regular basis, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, at least once a day. Who do you think is being attacked in Iran? What do you mean? Who do you think is being attacked in Iran? You have to clarify that question.
I'm not going into any details of that.
For those joining, we're listening to the Iranian foreign minister.
A good cooperation with these two countries.
That's not me. That's cutting out there.
This war on its Arab neighbors. They abstained from it, but they didn't veto it and allowed the resolution to pass. Do you think the global community has spoken clearly about the way Iran has conducted this war on its Arab neighbors?
Trump supporters, are you going to call in, you cowards? Gold, I actually talked about this the other day on live. You said also convenient that DHS is also shut down. Doesn't give me more confidence as far as our ability to respond to natural disasters. Agreed. You remember, they've also gutted that quite a bit. So it's, I think his name is Lang. I may be wrong. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh, I thought you were talking about Jake Lang. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Jake Lang. Forgot the Asian professor's name, but if he said Trump put boots on the ground, World War III starts, he also says that it would be the end of the world. I'm not sure I agree with that. I don't know that I agree with that 100%. I don't think boots on the ground automatically causes World War III, but I think that I think it certainly makes things incredibly complicated for the United States. I mean, invasion really is not possible the way people think it is when it comes to Iran for multiple different reasons, but we're talking about very difficult terrain. We didn't fare very well in Afghanistan. Iran has very, very difficult terrain, but it's just very difficult. It'd be very difficult to get troops into Iran and then out of Iran for that matter. I can't see them putting boots on the ground. You'd have to be a complete moron.
Call from
God.
Yes. Why are you calling yourself God? Are you a Christian?
Because I am God, motherfucker. I'm God, Mr. Sir on X. You best know. You know who the fuck I am. Don't play games, motherfucker. I kill people for a living.
Ass up.
I'll kill your whole family,
Shut
motherfucker.
Your ass up.
You shut the fuck up.
You think
Y'all keep talking about what the fuck Trump doing.
Why do I get these crazy people, dude? God damn. Why do I get these insane fucking people, man? You know who the fuck I don't know who the hell you are. Goofball? Why would I know who you are? Are you like, what are you? Am I supposed to know? I don't know who you are. Now call back in and talk like a normal human being. You're speaking to another adult. Don't talk to me like I'm a child. I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to, troglodyte. But you call in with respect and say, hi, Adam, I support Trump, and let's have a conversation. Why are you talking this way? Call back in. This guy's threatening my life. You got 3 weeks. Bro, listen, the biggest mistake anybody could ever make is pull up at my crib. I'll just tell you that right now. Listen, I'm so far left, I believe in my right to bear arms. Let's just say that. I'm so far left, you would have a celebration of life. Let's just say that. It wouldn't be good for you, my friend. But you can try it. I would highly recommend not threatening me, though. I tend to not take threats kindly. Why don't you call in? Let's hear what you're going to do to me. Call in right now. Let's hear what you're going to do to me. Let's hear it. God, Mr. Sir on X. This guy thinks he's going to this guy's threatening to unalive me. Call in right now. I get these death threats every single day. God, Mr. Sir on X. Call in right now. Since you're gonna unalive me. Call right now. Call right. You ain't gonna do shit. Shut up. Call right now. Call right now. What are you scared of? You scared to call in? You scared to call in? You scared? You scared to call in? He's scared to call in right now. He's not even calling back in. Yet he's going to... Bro, you're not going to do anything. Right? You're drinking because your mom went to bed. And you're acting like a tough guy. Why don't you call back in, dude? What are you scared about? Here, let's call him. Bro didn't even block his number. Like, I can find this dude so easily.
You want, motherfucker.
Hey, so, first of all, you didn't block your...
back in, dude?
So, hold on.
Say what?
You got to turn the...
Motherfucker, I'm
turn
sending
the
you bad
speakers
luck,
off.
motherfucker. I'm going to give you extreme
Turn
bad
the
luck.
speakers
you
off.
See? It's karma. Motherfucker,
Turn the speakers off.
motherfucker, you gonna see. Speaker,
Yeah,
I'm not
sure.
native speaker.
So listen, I know that your mom's asleep right now, and so you felt that you could call in and
My mom, motherfucker, I'm a multi-millionaire. Shut the fuck
you're
up.
not
man. I
a
live
multi.
alone,
You're not a
motherfucker.
multi-millionaire.
Shut the fuck. You gonna tell me what the fuck I am, motherfucker?
What do you
Shut the
do for
fuck
a
up, motherfucker.
What do you do for a
Shut
living?
up, motherfucker. I'm
What do you do
God,
for
you
a living?
stupid fuck. Are you retarded?
This
You don't
guy's
know who the fuck I am.
insane.
Motherfucker, shut the fuck
There's
up.
the
You're
slur,
stupid,
you
man.
clown.
You're an idiot, just like these other retards.
Listen
you
to
a
this
Democrat.
nut
You stealing
job.
crap, ain't you?
Listen
Ah,
to
you
this
stupid, man.
nutcase.
You're
Listen
an
to
idiot, man.
this.
You complaining about what the fuck Trump
you
doing
stop
for America.
slurring?
You dumbass. You live in the fucking
Trump
America.
hates you.
You're an idiot, just like these
Trump
other
hates
idiots, man.
you.
You're stupid, man. You
Trump
are
hates
dumb.
you.
What the fuck is wrong
Trump
with y'all
wouldn't let you
Democrats,
sleep
man?
on his doorstep.
Are you stupid?
Trump wouldn't
is
let you
trying to
sleep on
help
his
y'all
doorstep.
retards, and y'all
Trump
fucking
wouldn't
going
let you
against
sleep
him.
on
Are
his
y'all
doorstep,
Trump is doing
clown.
everything I fucking
He
tell
wouldn't
him to
let
do,
you sleep on
retard.
his doorstep. Can you stop
Oh,
saying
my
that
God.
R slur?
Oh,
Trump,
you want to put money on that motherfucker?
can you stop talking for
Trump
1
do
second?
every fucking thing I tell him to do. I told Trump
my
to
God,
kill
he's
them
insane.
Iranians,
He's
motherfuckers.
insane,
regime.
guys.
Everything I do,
Guys, this
I
is an
control his
actual
planet,
insane person. This is an actual insane person, folks.
Oh, really? You
Listen
think
to
so,
this.
huh?
Listen to this psychopath.
You think I'm? I don't give a fuck what you say, motherfucker. Cause you
Have
don't
you ever
make me none,
considered
motherfucker.
quitting drinking?
Oh my God!
Have
this
you ever
motherfucker
considered
here.
quitting the alcohol? Maybe you'll stop slurring. The R slur
Motherfucker,
is
shut
not
the fuck up.
appropriate.
You sound retarded. You
Can you
sound
stop
retarded,
saying
man.
that
You a
word?
retard just like these other
Stop
retards.
saying
ain't
that
you?
word.
I can hear it in your voice, motherfucker. You stupid, man. You
I know.
stupid.
Okay,
I
can
hear
you tell me
I've been
real quick?
listening to
Hold
you-
on.
I've been listening to your
I got an
podcast for a
idea.
minute. You're an
I got
idiot.
an idea.
Just like these other
I got
you
an
sound
idea.
Stupid,
Stop
man.
talking.
You
I
going
have an
against
idea.
Trump, motherfucker.
Okay.
You going against Trump who's trying to help your dumb ass. You idiot, just like the rest of these idiots, man. You dumb, man.
Okay.
You're stupid.
Okay, so I got an idea. You ready? You like to
No,
call
I don't
people.
give a fuck. Fuck you. I don't
like
give
to
a fuck
call
about your
people
idea.
stupid.
Fuck your idea,
What is-
motherfucker. You're
hold on,
stupid.
guy,
if you
I'm
had,
gonna
if you
help
had
you.
a fucking idea, you would have been doing what the fuck Trump doing. But you can't, because y'all motherfucking stupid. Y'all can't do what Trump doing. Because Trump following me, motherfucker. Because y'all are idiots.
I'm gonna
If
help
y'all
you.
can't do what Trump is doing, why the fuck y'all ain't help America, motherfuckers? Why the fuck y'all ain't did it?
I'm gonna help you.
Are you
right?
with Biden, little retarded,
Hold on, real
little
quick.
raping
I'm
ass?
gonna help you real
Are you
quick.
with Clinton?
Hold
you
on.
With Obama,
I'm
little
gonna
faggot
help
ass?
you.
Which
Are you
one
gonna
is?
stop talking? What is
I
eight?
don't need to. Motherfucker, shut the
Hold
fuck up.
on,
You
this
sound
is
stupid,
very
motherfucker.
important.
How the fuck you gonna help
Hold
God?
on.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm gonna show you
Motherfucker,
right
trust
now.
me.
I'm gonna tell
In
you
3
right now.
weeks, motherfucker, you gonna
Can
have
you
the
let me
worst luck you
finish?
ever had.
What?
I'm not gonna let you
Listen.
do shit, motherfucker.
What
You
is
don't
8
overtalk
times
God,
12?
motherfucker. Shut the fuck up.
What is 8
I said
times
shut
12?
the fuck up, pussy.
What is
shut
8
the fuck
times
up,
12?
Bitch.
What
Shut
is
the
8
fuck up,
times
bitch.
12? He doesn't
Shut
know.
the fuck up,
He doesn't
bitch.
know 8 times
Motherfucker.
12, guys. He doesn't know 8 times
Motherfucker,
12.
don't ask no silly ass question.
What is
I know
8
you follow
times
your
12?
dumb ass up, motherfucker. Ask the little
What's
idiots
8
who
times
listening to you,
12,
motherfucker.
nutcase?
Motherfucker, ask your little retarded mom.
Hillary Clinton is your daddy. What's 8 times 12?
Oh my God, this motherfucker.
You're
Man, you
embarrassing
stupid, man.
yourself. You're a
Oh,
lunatic.
my.
You need
I don't
help.
give a fuck with you. Oh, because you say I'm embarrassing
You
myself.
need
Shut the
help.
fuck up, man. You sound stupid.
You need
you,
help.
You think what you say is supposed to bother me,
You
motherfucker?
need
Shut
help,
the fuck up.
guy. You need help.
Motherfucker, shut the fuck up.
You
man,
need
you sound
help.
stupid, man.
Listen,
I bet you right in
need
your
help.
fucking grandparents' basement,
You
motherfucker.
need
jacking
help,
off.
man.
Motherfucker, you
Listen,
look
I
like you
think
don't
I
get no
can
pussy.
get you
Look
help.
at you, motherfucker.
Do you need
You
some
look like
help?
those
I can
faggots, man.
probably help
You like to suck dick,
Do
don't
you
you?
need some
You
help,
be sucking
bro?
your uncle dick,
Do
don't
you
you?
need some
You
help?
suck your uncle
Do you
dick,
need
don't
some
you?
help?
I know you
All
do.
right, listen, I
You
gotta
sucked your
go
uncle
now
dick when
because
you were
you're.
younger, didn't
I
you?
gotta go because you're
You
a
sucked your
weirdo.
uncle.
Oh my God, what a lunatic! What a lunatic, bro! Holy shit. Man, holy hell, I get some weirdos on here, dude, that are just in love with Trump and they don't even know why. They don't even know why. Like, that guy doesn't know why he loves Trump to that extent. He has no idea. Bro, my advice for you is to seek help.
Call from
Mikey.
Yes. Are you a Trump supporter?
What? Hello?
Yes. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
Okay. So, can you tell me why do you support the war in Iran?
Real quick, I gotta say that last dude was insane. That was like a fever dream listening to.
Well,
All right.
guy, if you watched me regularly, you would know that's a regular thing I deal with. Like, I have guys that, like, we can disagree on issues and shit, but, like, I have guys that just can't control their emotions, that despise me for simply being critical of our government. Like, they're just bootlickers, right? So, do you support the war in Iran?
No, I don't support any war.
Okay, well, I'm kind of looking for opposition, but who did you vote for?
I did vote for Trump.
Okay, do you still support Trump?
Probably not, but
Good.
on a lighthearted note, I got a question for you.
It's marked. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat, bro. Appreciate you. What's up?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? Yes or no?
No. It's a hot dog.
Yes, it is.
No, it's a hot dog.
I disagree.
But
It's a
listen,
sandwich.
why did
it
you?
has the components of bread and meat.
Well, I can tell you. Listen, what I'm much better at discussing is political issues, and I don't want this phone call to go to waste. So let me just explain. Let me just ask you a question here. So you did vote for Trump. When did you stop supporting Trump? Because I know that there's plenty of people who voted for Trump, and you guys COVID. So, but why'd you vote for him this last time then?
I didn't. I voted in 2020.
Okay, who'd you vote for this last time?
Kamala.
Okay. All right, I can respect that. I can respect
I
that.
didn't like how he handled the COVID. I think alienated a lot of people, incited a lot of, what's the word? Incited a lot of bad actions that people took against certain groups of people.
I agree.
I don't know why I'm blanking on the word.
No, it's late, but
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. But I can respect that. Listen, I obviously have frustrations at people who voted for Trump ever because I felt it was obvious from the beginning, but I can't judge people. Like, everyone's process is different. But I can definitely respect that you stopped supporting him and didn't vote for him this last time. I have respect for that. Do you know why? Because this last time was the most important time. So I have great
I'll tell you
respect
what, too.
for that.
I think a big reason was, too, I was coming out of a small hometown, and then I was, just really getting my gears going in university at the time. You meet a lot of different people that maybe I didn't necessarily grow up with, a lot of views that I didn't even know existed, honestly, So you kind of learn more of a worldly, cultural, stuff, and kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah. Now, but your ability to recognize that, right, and recognize that you come from a place that maybe doesn't understand, different cultures and different things, and maybe undereducated on certain issues, that is a sign of intelligence. You understand? Like, you can change that. No, there are people that are just forever dumb, but you're actually recognizing, hey, I come from a place that doesn't. Because listen, I'll tell you, some friends that I have come from places that they did everything they could to keep the truth from them, and they had to break out of that mold themselves. So that's a sign of intelligence, dude. So you should be happy about that. You just got to keep educating yourself and moving in the right direction.
Totally. Yeah, because like my freshman year, got paired up with this, random person in my dorm, like biggest liberal ever, like extreme. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna suck. And then start talking to him, hearing him out. I'm like, oh, they have points to start. That's the main thing. Is it's when you stop talking that things become bad. You talk, both respectful, you learn more about each other's views, their background, then it really opens your eyes. So I wish people would just talk more.
Right.
Talk, not like on that last call, it was talk calmly, respectfully,
Well, listen, I'm a firm believer in conversation. Otherwise, I wouldn't do this. And sometimes I lose hope in it because I think to myself, things keep happening that are bad. And I'm like, am I really? Now, I do a lot of things. I don't just have conversations and I don't just debate. I also do a number of other things. But this aspect of it, I've questioned at times. But I always go back to it because I truly believe in having conversations and learning from each other in that way. I'm glad that you recognize that this isn't really, even when it comes to political issues, this isn't really political when it comes to Trump. He's a full-blown fascist. I'm glad you've recognized that and you're moving in the right direction. And listen, we probably don't agree on every single thing. All I can And we shouldn't agree on everything. Yeah. But remember that, too. We shouldn't agree on everything either. That's okay to not agree on everything, but we should agree on human rights. We should agree that people deserve health care, right? We should agree on these basic things, right? People deserve housing. They deserve health care, right? They deserve these human rights. So I appreciate you calling in, dude. Thanks.
Totally, yeah. Have a good night, my man.
You too. Take care. If you are a Trump supporter and you support the war in Iran, you can call in 908-652-3703. I saw somebody send me a message over here, again, $5 on Venmo, asking me about Bibi. I talked about this earlier. I don't know if he's alive. I know that there's a lot of people skeptical about whether or not he's alive. I honestly can't tell you whether or not he's alive or not. I know he hasn't shown his face since March 10th. Today's the 14th. I said earlier, if he hasn't shown his face, if he doesn't show his face by the 17th, I will start to legitimately question whether or not he's alive. I already think it's kind of sus that he hasn't shown his face, but if he doesn't show his face by the 17th, I'll be pretty convinced something happened and they're not telling us. JDDY or JDD, 5527 says, what if we support Trump but not the war? Call in. Let's have a conversation about it. Call in, dude. Yeah, we have 5 minutes left on the gifting goal. If you guys want to try and complete it, we're 13 of 20. I would appreciate it. But if you are a Trump, this guy said he's a Trump supporter, but he doesn't support the war, call in. It's definitely a conversation I'd be willing to have. I'm going to try and explain to you why they're 1 and 1, but, we'll see. Let's see if there's some other comments up here I can comment on. I think it's always good for people to be educated. Look, here's the thing, too. College is a great experience for a number of reasons, and that's one of them, right? Yeah, let's see if he calls in. JDD, 5527, call in. Critter 9576, thank you for the lucky clover for 4 joules. Appreciate you. Guys, I would appreciate everybody hitting the thumbs up button and hitting the share button so we can try and get on the algorithm. I wasn't going to go live tonight. I try not to go live at this time in particular. I find problems getting on the algorithm at this time. That's why I wasn't going to go live, but I wanted to go live for you guys. That's the only reason I'm here. Illusion, thank you for the $1.99. Appreciate you. BB is bunker jumping. Iran is pissed. It appears to be the case, Illusion, but here's the problem. He could easily leave. He doesn't have to bunker jump. Right? That's what's weird. This guy says, I told you that Adam hosted Living There in DC. I told you you're going to get a Jim X office is going to get pissed off, and you probably got 1,000 dudes out there coming after you. What? I told you that Adam hosted living there in the DC area. What is this guy talking about? Yeah, I'm going to DC for the midterms. If you guys want to come confront me, I'll be there on the midterms. Let's see if any of you show up. None of you will. Shut up. All right. Gary, thank you for the $1.99. I was in Minnesota for a month and a half. Not one of you showed up to confront me. And the Republicans that did, you fucking ran. So UK Gnome, I'm perfectly capable of defending myself. I'm not worried about troglodytes on the internet. They would lose badly. Okay? Charcity, thank you for being a member for 14 months. Appreciate you. This guy keeps talking about me being in the DC area. Listen, UK Gnome, let me say this as clear as day to you, okay? I know you keep repeating the same thing over and you think it's scaring me. If I was concerned about being killed, I wouldn't do this. You understand? Part of this is understanding that there's risk involved. I'm not afraid, and nothing you say is going to make me afraid. Shut your ass up. And let me tell you one more thing, UK Gnome. I have a lot of people who love me who would haunt you if you ever touched me. Unlike Charlie Kirk, there are people out here who really do like me, and you would have a really hard time like moving on in life if you ever put your fucking hands on me. Just understand that. If you ever did that, and your name was exposed, they would find you. In fact, my chat could find you right now. Just understand that. If my chat really wanted to, they could find you right now. You ain't gonna do shit. Look at this guy threatening me in chat, guys. Another guy threatening me in chat. I'm just telling you, UK Gnome, you probably should ask around before you threaten me, because somebody in my chat might actually find you. I'm just letting you know. Has anyone ever called your job for threatening people on the internet? Has anyone ever called your job or your house, UK Gnome, or posted on your community Facebook page that you threaten people on the internet? Nayland, thank you so much, bro. Appreciate you. Andy, thank you for the $4.99. Appreciate you, Andy. Like, I highly recommend you don't threaten me, UK Gnome. Because I don't know if you know this or not, you seem like an older person the way that you're so confident with what you're typing in the chat. You're not going to do shit. Look, he's getting pissed. Look what he wrote. He's still probably asleep right now. I'm getting even more pissed, dude. You're not going to do shit. You're not going to do anything, UK Gnome. You're not going to do shit. Yay, yay. You're not going to do shit. 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 I know, incoherent rambling. They're psychotic, dude. Do you guys know how many threats I get like this on a daily basis? Somebody take the time to just locate this dude and send it to my DMs. Let's just, out of the fun of it, let's just locate this dude and just fucking humble him. It's so satisfying to do this. I'm sure it's probably really easy to find. I bet you it could be located within
Call from
minutes.
JDD.
Yes, JDD. Are you a Trump supporter?
Well, I was, but
All right, bro, hold on 1 second. Can you give me just 1 second? I want you to hold on 1 second. I just have to use the bathroom. You cool with that?
yeah, it's fine.
Okay, hold on. Guys, hold on 1 second. I'm just letting UK Gnome type in the chat. UK Gnome, nobody cares. Shut up. Yeah, I've been getting more death threats than ever lately, bro. It's just something. It's because I'm speaking out against Israel and stuff. All right, dude, what's going on? Are you a Trump supporter?
Oh, shit, I'm trying to be, but goddamn, if he didn't stab us in the back with this war and war for Israel in Iran, a lot of us voted for him because he was the anti-war candidate, and I could even make a case for removing Maduro, but we didn't sign up for this, man.
I could tell you. I mean, you can make a case legally. I mean, you couldn't make a case legally.
I can make a case for the remover of. Well, no, I'm talking about the reason why we went in and how it could be justified as it is our oil. From my understanding, those are Chevron-built infrastructures that were made
Correct.
under a different
I understand the argument.
administration. Right.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can understand that, but
when they nationalized the oil industry, yes, I understand what you're
right.
saying. So,
right.
but here's the
this
point.
war in Iran, man.
That still wouldn't be a legal justification, but that's besides the point. Let's not get off topic. As it relates, I debated that for months. It's not that I don't want to. It's just I don't want to go down a path. But that's still not a legal justification. As it pertains to Iran, there is no legal justification. There's no moral justification. There's no legal justification, moral justification for Venezuela either. But specific to Iran, why are you struggling to allow? Like, because you know what's happening, right? Your brain is telling you that this is wrong. Right. And I think you're probably, I don't know if you're a creature of habit, but you continue to support Trump because it's what you've always done. You got to start accepting
no, I'm
the
not.
truth.
Listen, what I'm saying is, I think a lot of us are not gonna sit the next election, the midterms out, and we really don't support Trump anymore. I supported him up to, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever this war started. It's a complete 180 from his campaign promises. We're not going to agree on any of the social issues, I'm sure. I'm an immigrant myself, and I still supported Trump as far as immigration and all those topics, but we definitely didn't vote for this war to begin. So, your side is going to be handed off the power coming up. I hope you can vote for somebody. I don't think Kamala was the right candidate either. I don't know who you have on the left to run. We thought we had an outsider with Trump. We sure as shit don't have him with J.D. Vance. I don't know who we can run. Maybe a Rand Paul.
You better get used to J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance and Rubio are going to be that ticket. Why do you think J.D. Vance is on sabbatical right now?
I understand, but are they going to get it?
Hold on. Why do you think you can't find J.D. Vance right now?
Well, he doesn't want to speak against the war. Even though he is for the war, I think he doesn't want to speak against it because he wants to run in 2028.
Right. It's not about being for or against it. He definitely probably thinks it's idiotic, but he doesn't want to fuck his chances up. But specific
he doesn't
to
want
this
to appear as
situation, this is one of a million examples of Trump's fuck ups since he was inaugurated this time, right? So Is there anything about this war you support that I can debunk? Because everything about it is wrong.
No, not this one. I don't think it's even a war that the United States. I don't think it's even a war for the United States. To tell you the truth, I don't think Iran ever was a threat to the United States. And this idiotic, there might be a drone attack or there's sleeper cells. Come on, you got to grow the fuck up.
Bro, let me explain
Iran
to you.
would have never attacked the United States.
I agree. Let me explain, and I'm glad you can see that because that's totally propaganda. But let's talk about this really quick, right? I'll show you how ridiculous it is. The U.S. government right now is trying to sell us that the Iranian government tried to kill a sitting president. I want you to understand how insane that is. Do you understand what would happen if that was true? If that was true and they could prove it, Iran would be
it'd be over. It'd be an invasion.
Not even. It wouldn't be an invasion. It would just be a annihilation. They would wipe them off the face of the earth. If you try and kill a U.S. sitting president,
and it would be completely fully. I think it would be completely fully supported from both ideological points of view. The left and the right would be for invading Iran if it was provable.
Not for me.
If it was provable,
well, not
obviously
for me.
not.
I would be critical.
I don't know who the fuck.
I would say probably politically, many people would say it's justified. But if there was no consideration for human life, I would definitely be opposed to it, and I think a lot of Democrats would too. But regardless, they would have some kind of moral justification. Regardless, it doesn't matter. If you try and kill a sitting U.S. president, you die. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you try and kill a U.S. sitting president, whether it's Donald Trump or anyone else, you die. That's a known fact. The idea that this guy tried to kill that they claim they tried to kill a U.S. sitting president and then walked around for several months, years after the fact, and nobody did anything, it means they couldn't actually prove it. It's speculation. They don't have a legitimate justification for this war. They've reached, right? They couldn't even come up with one, so they reverted back to the old, same tired, they're a couple weeks away from weapons-grade enriched uranium, the same lie that Benjamin Netanyahu's been perpetuating since 1983. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd.
I agree with you.
But that's the point I want you to understand this. Trump does these things because he thinks you're dumb. The question becomes, when are you willing to stop eating shit? When are you going to stand up and say, enough is enough? I'm done with this fighting wars for Israel. How many Americans now? 16? Is it 16, chat? 16 American citizens dead for Israel. For Israel. Not for the United States, for Israel. Do you know how much this war cost us in the first 48 hours? Take a guess. What do you think the cost analysis is?
I think it was $18 billion. I think it was the
no,
number
but I mean
heard.
the first 48 hours. Let's just break it down this way. The first 48 hours.
48? I don't know.
Over $5 billion for just 48 hours, mostly munitions. But the point is, this is very expensive. They made an impulse decision. I've really sunk my teeth into this since the beginning, and I really think I have a good understanding of what the original strategy was, even though they didn't tell us, and what the plan is going forward. I believe that what the initial strategy was from this administration was, we're going to decapitate their government, and we're going to hope that it sparks an uprising. The Iranian people uprise against the government, do our job for us. We don't have to put boots on the ground. Worst case scenario, we can try and maybe spark a civil war with the Kurds or something. But ultimately, we want to spark an uprising. I think they saw a window, or at least Netanyahu did, because the Iranian people were attempting to uprise. They were protesting. Things were, boiling over. And they thought if they decapitated the leadership, that would happen. But even the tiniest bit of research will show you the Iranian government is not structured that way. They're built to survive decapitation strikes. And that's what's so frustrating for me, is when you look at the Mosaic Doctrine and you understand how Iran's government is structured and how their military is structured, it proves to me they did very little planning, and there was no plan to prevent escalation, such as Iran mining the Strait of Hormuz and potentially trying to spike a global recession. What was the consideration for preventing another 20-year war? None. That's reckless. It's irresponsible. It's narcissistic, right? And I think that ultimately, if you're a Trump supporter and you still support this, you just have to be willing to admit, I'm willing to eat shit as long as Trump is serving it. And I'm glad you're not one of those people.
Listen, I think he knows that there's no way the midterms are going to go his way, so he's throwing a Hail Mary before the midterms and trying to clean up for Israel as much as he can. Like I said, a lot of Trump supporters see him doing a 180 on his promises, and there's no fucking way he's going to win the midterms. It's going to be your guys' Senate, probably House, definitely 2028. But listen, Libya happened under the Democratic watch.
Yeah. Well,
so it's not just as if our guys are the ones feeding the shit.
Call from.
Hold on, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So I agree with you, and thank you for calling in, dude. And I'm glad you're seeing the light and recognizing it. Our relationship with Israel is super problematic. Let's move to the next guy here. Hello, are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and the war in Iran. Go ahead. What's your thoughts?
My thought is, believe it or not, it's pretty similar to what you were thinking. I just didn't know if they were going to do like 31 different strikes after they took out the original top leaders, because the moment that they took out the leader, it splits down into factions like you were talking
Correct.
about.
Yes.
They can't just wipe
That's
them all
not
out
possible,
in one bit.
though. You understand that, right?
I honestly didn't think it was possible to get as far as we did so fast, we are right now.
Well, what you're referring to is breaking up into 31 different groups over 31 different provinces, so they operate independently and don't need to communicate with the regime. This is the Mosaic Doctrine. This is not possible. This is not possible. If you strike one group continues to strike you with no consequence, right? So it's really difficult to do that. They also operate on guerrilla warfare. So the United States historically does not have much success with that style of combat.
That's true for sure. I have a question. Do you believe that Iran had anything to do with any of the assassination plots on Trump?
I don't. And I'll tell you why. I think that I will tell you this. If they did, the U.S. doesn't have any proof. Because if they did, they'd all be dead. They would have been dead before they went
and
to
I
sleep
would go
that
further to say that right, and I would go as further to even say that if Iran did, then the U.S. somebody knew about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that the Thomas Crooks guy or whatever, there's no way that he was practicing at shooting at the same place that the FBI goes to and all this other stuff. There's a couple different little situations. Anyways, the whole point I'm getting to that is that if it was the other way around and say Kamala Harris had won the election and it had been proven that Iran tried to assassinate her, even though I couldn't stand her, he still would have been my president, and I would have been like, fuck that, let's take Iran down.
Yeah, so, and I think, look, this is what, I mean, if they could prove that, you wouldn't even have to endorse it. It wouldn't matter. If they had solid evidence that a foreign government tried to kill a U.S. sitting president, that would be very that's a really dangerous thing, and most people wouldn't fight back much against at least decapitation strikes, trying to kill the leadership. I know that to me, I would bet my life that they don't have the proof to substantiate that that's true. Because if it was, they would have been dead so quick. I mean, there's no way they would have let the fact that they let them walk around for an extent. I mean, there's no way. There's no way you tried to kill a sitting U.S. president. There is no fucking way that that's true. So I think they're just,
and that's what made me think that's what made me think that's true. Then how come screaming that from the rooftops constantly? Why is that not their main reason?
Because they don't have any proof. Because they don't have any proof.
What do you think that so back whenever all that first happened, I've seen a lot of people online saying that it was staged and that they got the Crooks guy to try and shoot Trump and all this other stuff. How far do you really believe into that they set that up and Trump didn't really get shot in the ear?
I don't know, but
I'm out of curiosity.
No, I don't know, but I think that it's super suspicious. The whole situation's suspicious. If you look at the the way that the cameramen are positioned and stuff. I've looked into this heavily. I don't find it super productive to dissect it. I think, look, if it was real, why is he? I think they would have made it an even bigger deal. It's kind of like it was acknowledged, and then they kind of like moved on from it. They used it to get elected, and then they kind of moved on from it. But I don't. I think there's a lot of weird things happening right now that we're going to find out years down the road. A lot of these things were not what they appeared to be.
And I know it seems off subject, but honestly, I'm the kind of person that I think that everything's kind of correlated in one way or another. I mean, from the Epstein files to the Iran war to everything before the election.
Well, that is for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, so here's the thing. It sounds lukewarm. It sounds surface level to say that the Epstein files have something to do with the Iran war. And I think that's why people don't say it as much as they probably should, because it sounds like, well, that's a given, right? Like, oh, but every person who's talked about this topic has always said, if they were ever about to release those names, they'd start a war. Everyone said that. And that actually happened. And it just seems too obvious, too easy, right, to acknowledge that's the reason why. I think in terms of Trump's decision to do this now, that's where it plays a significant role. I think that the walls were closing in, that Trump didn't know what to do. The Clintons had testified. It was his turn to testify. Howard Lutnick was receiving a ton of pressure, which I think Trump feared could lead back to him. And I think that he had hoped the Clintons were going to plead the fifth and try and get away from the situation. And they went in and testified. And I think that put the ball in his court. And I think he saw, and every expert agrees, this is the one issue Trump is not going to be able to like weasel his way out of, right? He's not going to be able to talk his way out of this. He's going to need to eventually answer some questions about this if he wants to get out from underneath it. And I think that the timing of this was because of the Epstein files. I think in terms of Israel's position, I think Israel did this at this time. Israel wanted to do this at this time because they couldn't wait till after the midterms. If they're going to do this in cooperation with the United States, they had to do it now. Now is the only time. After the midterms, if they have an unsuccessful midterm and Democrats have a successful one, they're going to stall Trump out. They're going to his administration effectively comes to an end. Now, obviously, there's speculation about interference and all this stuff, but if let's just say there's an above board midterm and Democrats are successful, they're going to lock Trump out. They're going to pin Trump in a corner. He's not going to be able to accomplish much. And I think Netanyahu didn't want to try and work around the Democratic Party. If he wanted to get this done in cooperation with the United States, now was the time. And I think Trump said yes because he believed that would effectively change the narrative. And by the way, it did. No one's talking about Epstein. They're talking about Iran.
That's true. And another thing that's crazy, I didn't learn this until a couple of years ago, but, believe it or not, Israel and the so-called Jewish state over there, which is actually secular mostly, they hate us. They hate everybody just as much as they claim Muslims do. They're just not out loud about it.
Anyone that's
they think we're literal cattle. Yeah, exactly. They call us goyim, and we're basically trash.
Yeah. So
now, I didn't know that at first, but basically they're just a little bit smarter and a little bit more backhanded with it.
Yeah, you're talking about text in the Torah. So there's truth to some of this, but what this really comes down to, this whole issue with Israel, is the Israeli government. The Israeli government is the problem. I don't have a problem with Jewish people. I don't think Jewish people are the problem. And I think the issue here is that sometimes this leaks into anti-Semitism. And I know a lot of Jewish people, and they're good people, they're nice people, and they don't want any harm for anyone. They don't believe in hurting anyone. I really think this comes down to the evil Zionist government in Israel. Just like our government, I believe, is inherently evil. I think they're evil as well. And so I try and keep the conversation strictly about their government and not Jewish people.
Well, I feel like their government is pretending Zionist. They're actually secular. I swear to God, if you actually look into it, and where they go and where they vote and what they do, they're actually a secular government starting a religious war. under religious guise, basically.
I've heard this before, but like I said, I just again, like
and the government. I'm talking about the government only, not the Jewish people. Like,
I
you know what
understand
I'm
what you're
saying?
saying.
And
yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Like for instance, earlier. Okay, so being a conservative, I watch a range of things. I watch a lot of funny bullshit. I'm sure you've heard of Crowder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So those guys, they don't claim to be journalists. Honestly, I don't think. I think that they give their opinions on stuff, right?
Well, anyway. I'm not going to get into it, but anyway.
Okay. Of course, we're not going to like the same people. Of course, you know what I'm saying. Like but that's besides the point. And I wouldn't have called you if you agreed with everything I said anyway. But anyways, then I start flipping through my YouTube and I get to Ben Shapiro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if you were to like just do a standalone, like let's say, Crowder, Tucker Carlson, and Ben Shapiro, you wouldn't even think that they were for the same party.
Well,
you know
Ben Shapiro's a Zionist. So the right side of the political spectrum starts to agree with the far left side of the political spectrum when it comes to Zionism and the U.S. government's relationship with Israel and how problematic it is. So you have Ben Shapiro's more like a MAGA Republican, isn't he? He's not.
Also Cenk Uygur. I can't lie. I do. I got to watch TYT. I've been subscribed to them for like 15 years.
But again, he's anti-Zionist and he's on the left side of the political spectrum. So that's why I'm saying that there are similarities among those two groups when it comes to the fact that we need to break off from our relationship with Israel, how problematic our relationship with Israel is.
So do you think that the Iran war, do you think that, I've heard a lot of people complaining about Trump is basically screwing the Republicans for the midterms, but it was like they were screwed either way type of deal. So he had to do it.
Yeah. So I've heard this before too. I think that they were probably screwed either way. I mean, polling indicates they're screwed either way, but I think that you would much rather have conversations about whether or not it was a bad decision to go into Iran than whether or not Trump is a pedophile.
Right.
So I think that again, when you don't like what someone's saying about you, what do? You change the conversation politically, right? That happens in politics all the time. Would you rather they're discussing whether or not, because you could honestly make a case for it. Obviously, it's disingenuous, but you can make a case for why you want to go into Iran. You can spout the U.S. propaganda. That is, they chant death to the United States, that they want to develop weapons-grade enriched uranium. Like, I could be disingenuous and argue the other side if I really wanted to. I could spout a bunch of U.S. propaganda and make an illegitimate case for why it's justified to go into Iran. The problem is, it's just not true. Right? But would you rather have people talking about that than talking about why hasn't Donald Trump testified? Why hasn't Howard Lutnick testified? Why are the Clintons testifying and not pleading the fifth about their relationship with Epstein, but Trump won't do the same? Why is the Department of Justice obstructing justice when a law was passed through Congress with a veto-proof supermajority? I'd much rather have a conversation about whether or not he should have invaded Iran if I'm a politician in that position, right? Because Trump's endorsements are going to matter, and they matter now.
What's crazy is it seems like, honestly, though, there's a couple times where Trump endorsed people and they fell flat on their face. But what I was trying to get to was
it happened recently.
If you watch the other, like, all I got to say about the whole him being a pedo thing is if it ever comes out, it's proven that he had anything to do with that, then immediately I'm going to disavow him. But until then, it's like, he's trying to, stalemate it. And if you watch Fox News, the only part of the Clinton testimony that they show is where he said that he never saw Donald Trump there because they asked him. They were like, "Did you ever see Donald Trump around engaged in anything?"
But that doesn't mean
weird
anything.
Or whatever. He's like,
that doesn't mean anything.
Right. I know, but I'm just saying that's what they're showing. They
had separate relationships just because they all knew each other. So, like, obviously Fox News is going to play that because that makes it look like Trump is innocent, but it really doesn't, because obviously Clinton wouldn't be able to admit that he's guilty or without admitting Trump is guilty. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he'd have to admit he's guilty if he's going to admit Trump is guilty. I don't think any of that matters. What matters more than anything in regards to the Epstein files is the fact that the Department Department of Justice and the Deputy Attorney General, who's Donald Trump's personal attorney, Todd Blanche, he defended him in his criminal cases, are actively obstructing justice. And people say, well, even if you make the argument, well, it's impossible, right, to comply with this law when you consider the amount of documents we're talking about. Well, that's not the only issue. The redactions haven't even been in compliance with the law. So that right there shows they just have an unwillingness to comply. And I can point to a number of things. Sitting down with Ghislaine Maxwell, trying to convince Republicans not to sign on to the discharge petition, telling people in the White House not to respond to questions about the Epstein files. There are a million different things that have happened during the course of this whole Epstein thing that point to Donald Trump doesn't want the American public to read what's in those files. That indicates guilt above anything else. Now, there is information in there that's credible. And a lot of it, the DOJ has interfered with the public seeing it. And that also indicates guilt. So is anything 100%? No. But I think what Trump supporters need to recognize is that anytime we have a conversation about the Epstein files, they have this unreasonably high burden of proof. I need to see pictures of him engaging in this category of crime when that's not even the burden of proof in a criminal court, right? When people commit this category of crime, they don't typically film themselves committing this category of crime, right? That's not common to have video footage of people abusing children if they abuse children. We have eyewitness testimony. We have corroborating evidence. Sometimes therapists are, there's a bunch of different things, but it's a lot less than what Republicans consider their standard of proof. So I think that what people need to consider more than anything is, why is Donald Trump's Department of Justice interfering with and not complying with a law that was passed by Congress to force transparency in regards to these files?
Yeah, I have no idea, man. And I don't know why they're not talking about it more on like MSNBC and shit like that.
They were, but obviously when you're dealing with what's happening in Iran here, I mean, I don't even think people realize we are on the brink of a potential global recession, right? Like we're talking about, Iran has a real ability now to fuck with the rest of the world because of this. So I think that they're obviously occupied with this, and I think that was the point. C. Martin Love, thank you so much for the one gifted membership. I really appreciate you, buddy. But thanks for calling in, dude. I'm glad you're considering whether or not this war is good. It's critical analysis is good. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. If you are a Trump supporter and you want to call in, 908-652-3703. Something I've noticed, Taylor Linderman, you got gifted a membership by C. Martin Love. So say thank you to C. Martin Love. Guys, I would really appreciate, we missed the gifting goal by 2. I would appreciate that. Finishing that, I would also appreciate hitting the thumbs up button on the live if you haven't hit the thumbs up button on the live, and making sure you guys hit the subscribe button. You're going to miss lives if you don't hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. I'm glad to see people on the right critically analyzing whether or not this war is a good idea. Folks, understand something, right? There is no excuse, whether you support Trump or not, for supporting this war. If you care, if you're America first, like you claim, you can't support this war. You can't. If you're America first, you have to be in opposition to this war. One thing is for certain. We need to stop supporting Israel. This is an issue, right? Netanyahu's an issue. Israel's an issue. Zionism is an issue. They have a tremendous amount of influence over our government. Okay, AIPAC spending is through the roof. In fact, it's even leaked into like what I do, which is political commentary on social media. They are compromising political commentators on social media. They are messaging people like, hey, criticize this person, we'll send you this. And that's been going on for a long time. I know a lot. I know more than I should know. But all I can say, truthfully, is that you should pay very close attention to who's not being critical of our relationship with Israel. Because anyone who's not being critical of it either is a bad person or they're being paid. It's one of the two. I'm tired of my fellow Americans dying for Israel. And I'm tired of people, politicians, people in government, elected representatives not being able to say America first when they're asked Israel or America first. You can't say America first? That's when you know we have a real problem. When our own elected representatives will not say America first over fucking Israel. We are headed in a super dangerous direction. Super dangerous direction. And I can't believe anyone who cares about the Constitution, cares about this country, cares about your fellow Americans would be in support of this war. Let's just talk strategy for a second. If you're a Trump supporter and you support the war in Iran, call in 908-652-3703. Let me just say this really quick. Does this make any sense to anyone? Does it make sense to anyone, this strategy to go into Iran, decapitate their leadership, and spark an Iranian uprising? Do you guys understand? That sounds like the plan of a second grader. No one in their right mind would consider this. And those that watch me on TikTok would know, because you guys remember the day we woke up that morning, I came on early. Do you remember the first thing I said, folks? Does anyone remember? The first thing I said was, he just handed them their nuclear option. In fact, let me pull it up. What's up? Are you a Trump supporter? Are you a Trump supporter?
No, I'm actually not.
Okay, hold on one second, okay? I just wanted to show my chat this really quick. Because I uploaded this video, and I'll talk to this guy just 1 second here. I uploaded this video literally, I don't know, just a couple hours after the invasion. Just a couple hours.
Trump just handed Iran.
I'm gonna put it on my screen really quick. I'm gonna put you on hold. Just pull up the stream and watch it, okay?
Okay.
I'm just putting you on hold. Don't hang up.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So everybody take a look at this really quick. I uploaded this a couple hours after the invasion. How would I know this, and how does our government not know this? That's what should concern you.
Trump just handed Iran their nuclear option. And no, they don't need weapons-grade enriched uranium to do it. Choking the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of the world's oil sails through this waterway per day. They'll mine it, sink tankers, seize ships. Boom! 20 million barrels of oil gone a day. Gas, $7, $8 a gallon. Truckers stop, groceries triple, and recession hits hard. Trump just
was just my immediate reaction. And then I went on live stream, right? Then I went, and hold on 1 second, guys. And then I went on live stream and I discussed the military strategy, right? I discussed how they wanted to spark an uprising. They wanted the Iranian people to uprise against the government. That was their goal, right? And at the time, Trump supporters say, that's stupid. That's not true, blah, blah. Turns out, it appears that's what they were doing. They were quite literally trying to conduct decapitation strikes and hope that the government wouldn't be able to move forward. They run around like a chicken with their heads cut off for a little while, and then they would eventually collapse. And that's not at all how the government is structured. They have a 4-point strategy to replacing the government after decapitation strikes. They had a three-man council set up just hours after they killed the supreme leader. Right? They have a military strategy that quite literally is aimed at surviving such strikes. Go ahead. What's up?
Quick question. I just jumped into your live stream. What do you think about like sleeper cells in America? Because I've been seeing a lot of stuff going around saying like sleeper cells are all around America. I'm not really like a political person. But like I'm kind of wondering because I've been thinking about that lately, you know, because I've been seeing a lot of like I'm from, you know, Rochester, so I've been seeing like every corner store I go to, there's like
Mm-hmm.
I can't say like not being like racist or anything. I'm not racist by any means, but like just a lot of Arabic people, you know, and
So
it's like almost every corner store there's probably like that's been named like about 10 corner stores like offhand in memory.
So let me be super clear about this, right? And you can trust me or not, but I can tell you that I spend my days researching these things. There is zero evidence that proves any Iranian sleeper cells currently operate in the United States. There are people that the government has identified as potential lone wolf, people, terrorists that might commit acts of terrorism because of Iran. But this idea that there's these cells, I mean, it's never been proven. It's never been proven. I understand the idea behind why, but I just don't believe in the sleeper roles awaiting Iranian orders kind of idea. The government, and here's why I'm going to say that I think they don't have any credibility as well. The government is claiming that Iran plotted assassination attempts via hires, right, of the president of the United States. Okay? Yeah. And then they said those same people survived. Like they walked around, right? They lived. If you ever tried to kill a sitting U.S. president, you'd be dead so quick. You'd be dead so quick you wouldn't know what hit you. So I think here's what I want you to consider. I want you to understand something. And I understand it's very difficult to navigate this when you live in the United States or you live in a country that's actively using propaganda. The United States, Iran, Israel, their greatest weapon right now is propaganda, right? And so you need to be very skeptical of what you're hearing. I don't think you should at all be concerned about sleeper cells. I can tell you that post 9/11, that was a serious conversation that was taking place as well. I know there was a ton of Islamophobic attacks that took place post 9/11 because people believed this was a reality. I don't believe it's true, and I don't think it's anything to worry about. I don't think Iran was planning to attack the United States in any capacity. They don't have the missile technology. They don't have the weapons-grade enriched uranium. They just don't. So I don't think Iran is any threat to the United States. That being said, we killed 170 children, school-age children in their country. Is it out of the realm of possibility somebody is angry enough or related to, as we saw in this most recent synagogue attack, that they would take it into their own hands to conduct the lone wolf attack? No, it's not impossible. But the idea of organized sleeper cells, I think, is far-fetched and largely propaganda perpetuated by our government.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would be like by like just one government. And like you said, it would be like a lone wolf type thing.
Yeah,
like
well, that's totally different.
Organized, organized thing.
Well, that's one of the reasons. Like when you talk about like Inspire magazine, that was a magazine that was released by Al Qaeda, targeted at radicalizing people who have who might want to commit these lone wolf attacks. Like for instance, the Boston bombers, right? Those types of people exist for sure, right? There are always people who believe in extremist ideology and they commit acts of violence because of said extremist ideology. But this idea that these sleeper cells are in the United States, organized militant groups awaiting orders from the regime so they can commit mass acts of terror, don't buy it. No. If that ever happened, I'd be super shocked and certainly admit that I'm wrong, but I think it would have already happened if it was true. I just don't believe it. I'm sorry. I don't. I think it's largely propaganda, and it is a way for the U.S. to justify and fear-monger what's happening in Iran.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to exactly what's going on over there. Not saying like, it's a good thing or a bad thing. I just don't, it doesn't come by my view, but I do, like I just said, I do be hearing a lot of like, oh, the sleeper cells, oh, better be having your, have your guns ready, make sure you know where everybody's at all times, more or less, like your family and your children and stuff like that. I don't think it would be like something, like you said, like a regime call out one day and like everybody just rises up and fucking all around the United States.
Well, that's what they mean by sleeper cells. Like quite literally, they mean groups of people awaiting the orders of the Iranian government. That's what a sleeper cell is. It's the reason your brain is telling you it's far-fetched is because it is. It's very much propaganda. By the way, let's be clear. They've perpetuated that narrative about Al-Qaeda, about ISIS, about all sorts of extremist groups, and it just never ends up being a reality. What we end up seeing more or less are people in their mother's basement who become radicalized by reading extremist ideology on the internet and or being influenced by propagandists in these terror groups, and then ultimately committing acts of lone wolf attacks. That's largely what we see. In terms of sleeper cells, it's not real. It's not real. It's never been proven.
I wouldn't say from like a government. Like let's think about this. Like I wouldn't say like it would be from like a government. You know what I mean? Like I would think it would be like like an actual extremist group. Like how would you say it? Like give or take like 100 or so people. Like 5 people could take out a whole block. You know what I mean? If they have the right.
Here's the thing.
Like,
are you Christian?
Guns,
I understand what you're saying. Listen, are you Christian?
Yeah, I believe in God.
Okay.
In Jesus.
So let's say you're a Christian churchgoer, right? And let's say that the Iranian government came over to the United States and killed 100 Christian schoolgirls. Would you be mad?
Of course.
You'd be irate, right? And let's say now that you lived in Iran. Let's not consider, whether or not that's a real possibility. Let's just pretend for a second you live in Iran, you're an American citizen, and you've watched Iran commit this atrocity in the United States. You're angry, you live in Iran, you know that it was the government in the country that you lived that committed this mass act of terror, and let's say you're susceptible to the propaganda that's being fed to you on the internet, and maybe you decide. That's more or less situations that I think are possible. It's not the reality that when they say sleeper cells, let me be clear, they mean organized groups that are in direct communication with the regime. You're talking about lone wolf attacks. Those are two entirely separate things. And if the U.S. government is concerned about people committing lone wolf attacks, then try to not kill 170 innocent children, and you won't piss people off enough to maybe want to retaliate. This is lone wolves and people like that are created because the United States commits these atrocities, right? Our government needs to stop committing these acts of terror and then calling people who want payback terrorists.
Yeah, I would agree so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I think like I say this all the time to people, like it's a part of this issue with American exceptionalism, this idea that we have any kind of moral high ground. We don't have moral high ground. Okay, we've committed atrocities all across the globe, specifically in the Middle East. Are there people that hate us because of those things? Yes. We killed over 1 million Iraqis in GWAT, right? Do you think there's Iraqis that hate us? Yes. I think we should, as American people, stop advocating for killing innocent people in other countries. I think we need to start focusing on providing health care for American citizens and stop worrying about the Middle East altogether. And that starts with breaking our alliance with Israel.
Okay. I see what you're saying. That's agreeable.
Yeah. So thanks for calling in, dude. Appreciate you.
No problem. You have a good
Take care. You too. One thing I am super glad about that I've witnessed through having these conversations with Iran is how many people are questioning whether or not this is the right thing. That's a good sign. That's a really good sign. Let's see here. How can anyone say Trump doesn't truly love the USA? So UK and USA loving Trump won. Can you call in really quick? UK and USA loving Trump, dude? Is that a corn account? This guy's account is UK and USA loving, LUVIN, Trump won. What a weird name, dude. UK and USA loving Trump. How do you love Trump? You love Trump how? Well, listen, it starts with people You want to just try and provoke thought. You can't. One thing I can tell you guys is you can never bring people to the finish line. You can't convince people of something one way or another in one conversation. That's impossible. And anyone who tells you that they have, it's not true. I've been doing this long enough to understand that you try and plant seeds, and then those people come back to you the next day. I have guys that message me, women that message me. Sometimes people will say their grandfather listens, and they'll say he hated you at first, and then a month later he started to kind of like some of the things that you were saying, and then before you know it, he's voting. You plant a seed. You're just trying to plant a seed to help people understand. Start critically analyzing whether or not this is a problem or not. Start critically analyzing whether or not the U.S. should be involved in this or not. How does this benefit the U.S. taxpayer? That's a great seed to plant. How does this benefit the U.S. taxpayer? Not a single Republican could tell me. I asked, 10 or 12, 15 Republicans today? The same question. Tell me just one fucking way this benefits the U.S. taxpayer, and they can't fucking tell you. The last caller hung up because he didn't believe a word you said. No, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he was just he was asking questions. He was inquiring about certain things he didn't know, and I think that's fine too. Like, not having the information and asking questions is perfectly fine. I really do. I think it's perfectly fine. But again, people are going to have to break out of this idea that the government doesn't lie to you. That's the first step. I'm sorry to tell you, people, the United States government lies to you just like the Iranian government lies to you. Right? The Iranian government is lying too about a lot of stuff. How many Americans have been killed and so on and so on. The U.S. government is not the good guy in this situation. It's not a case of good guy versus bad guy. People want to make this good guy versus bad guy. It's not good guy versus bad guy. And I think everyone in here can agree with me. Do you guys notice consistently Republicans just struggle with nuance? Like, people on the right do not understand nuance. They just don't. I'm having fucking knee pain again. Jesus Christ, man. I just got over this knee pain, and I'm having left knee pain again. What's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
Hey, what's going on, brother? Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm good. What's up? Do you support the war in Iran?
I'm going to be honest with you. No, I really don't. I think at this point, war is pointless because we're in the year of 2026. Let's be honest about that one.
I agree with you for the most part. I think there are limited situations you probably could claim it's justified, like retaliation for, like, let's say if they killed a U.S. president, I would probably be on board with retaliating there. If they killed an American citizen on U.S. soil, I would probably be okay with retaliating there. But correct. War, just generally speaking, I don't find it to be very productive. But specifically in the Middle East, right? The Middle East is unwinnable for a number of different reasons, right? It's terrain, right? And things like that. But more importantly, the ideological commitment that these people have, right? That's part of the reason we got our ass kicked in Afghanistan.
I agree. No, you're right. I agree. I'm not gonna argue with that. It's just at this point it's really kind of tiring. But unfortunately, what's been going on in the Middle East has been going back to biblical times. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. That's one thing. But it's just at the point that, like, we're still, like, people are still wanting to fight over land and all this. It's just like, and then unfortunately, as America, we have to be meddling or be the middleman and try to, like, help everybody else out. I just think it gets old after a while.
I would say that does happen in some cases, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I don't think this is a case of because the only way you'd be able to make that argument here is if your argument was the purpose was to liberate the Iranian people, and I can debunk that pretty quick by showing you that Donald Trump said that he wants to be responsible for structuring their government. True liberation would not involve Americans, right, and the Israeli government, or the American government, the Israeli government, structuring their government. Imagine fighting to liberate your people. Let's say the decapitation strike sparked an legitimate uprising. The Iranian people uprose against the regime, and they ended up winning. Right? And you get to the finish line, and Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu are standing there like, yeah, now we're going to pick your leader. That's not liberation. Liberation is you get to pick your own leader. And Donald Trump is already saying, like, regardless of what happens, I'm going to pick your leader, and your leader needs to get along with Israel. That's not liberation, right? That's a Zionist puppet government. So I think there are situations where the U.S. Has tried to do that in the past, or at least portrayed that they are the good guy in that situation, playing the middleman. But in this situation, I don't even think they're pretending. I think this is a case that, Israel has said that they want to do this, and that they're going to use the same 3-decade-old justification that they're close to weapons-grade enriched uranium to do so. And I don't think any of the other consequences were considered, right? I don't think they considered any of the other stuff involved, because I think they're incompetent and foolish, and I don't think they care about the American taxpayer, and that's part of the problem. But this all goes back to our alliance with Israel. That is the fucking number one issue here. We need to cut ties with Israel. Let's see how long Israel survives without our support. Let them learn a hard lesson that you're not going to drag us into these endless, nonsensical, trillion-dollar bloody wars, right? You're not going to do that anymore. We're going to teach you a fucking lesson, and you're going to pay for costing the lives of American citizens, right? Let's see how long before they knock this shit off.
No, you're that long, yes, in that long sense of you're saying, yes, I will agree with you. And again, at the end of the day, brother, it's politics, and politics sucks. But again, for me, going back to like saying F you or cutting ties with Israel, again, I'm not going into the Bible. I know that's not what it's about, but it's like in the scriptures it talks about if you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. If you curse Israel, you'll be cursed. So
I know all about it. It's a crock of shit.
Okay. And that's fine. I'm not saying you're not a believer. That's totally fine. But it's like, I don't know, man. I don't. Me personally,
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, man. And it's funny,
right.
and that's fine. You're Christian, and I've had this conversation with a number of Christians, and that's fine. You believe in Scripture. I believe in your ability to believe in whatever you want, right? I support that. I would fight for that. But that's not the point, right? That's not the point here. Do you think those American citizens now, 16, that are dead because of this, do you think they feel that way?
Right.
Do you think they're blessed?
I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. That's a
they're
question.
not.
That's a hard question to ask. Yeah,
no, they're dead.
You want to say no? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they're dead. Correct. Correct. They're dead, which is terrible, right?
Yeah, but again, it's just like I don't believe in this bullshit. Like this is such nonsense. They're dead. Their life is over. For what? Tell me, what is the benefit forget Scripture, because I don't even want to go there with you, because I'm going to end up getting heated.
Well, we're
it's
not.
Just so ridiculous.
I know, correct.
Give me one benefit for the American taxpayer.
Oh, there is no benefit on the taxpayer, of course.
And Americans died for that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
How are you not enraged?
I think
about it. Hold on.
One of the biggest things.
Think about it. How are you not enraged? American citizens came back in caskets draped in an American flag, and you can't even give me one.
Yeah, but war's been going. But the man's been fighting since the beginning of time. So it's like it is what it is, right?
No,
people are going to die regardless, brother.
But you know what? Even in Iraq
perfect.
and Afghanistan, they at least came up with these lies that we couldn't prove at the time. This is they're just totally like, they're not even pretending there's a reason here. I mean, their propaganda's not even effective. This is just the most nonsensical conflict I've ever seen in my life. Look, if I knew the facts that I know now about Iraq, then I would probably feel the same way. But I think that in this case, they're not even trying to make a case for why this is justified. Constitutionally, if you want to go to to a legal argument. What's the imminent threat? They don't have the missile technology to reach the United States. They don't possess weapons-grade enriched uranium. You conducted a military operation months before called Operation Midnight Hammer with the sole purpose of destroying their enrichment facilities. You claimed it was the most successful operation ever conducted in cooperation with Israel, and you destroyed their facilities. Then why are you claiming? No one's addressed why you're claiming the same thing. But furthermore, no one's answered the question, what are you doing militarily right now in Iran to prevent them from developing these weapons? What are you doing? Well, we're destroying their Air Force. Well, that doesn't stop them from developing weapons-grade enriched uranium. We're destroying their Navy. That doesn't stop them. Here's the thing that pisses me off, right, when you really think about this. Iran could develop a nuclear weapon. They absolutely could. They know how to. Well, at least a year ago they could have. Okay, maybe not now, but a year ago they could have. Right? They have the knowledge and capabilities to do so. The United States doesn't want them to have such a weapon. What gives the U.S. the moral authority to decide that other countries aren't allowed to have these capabilities? Is it the fact that we don't commit atrocities? Is that we don't improperly use our military capabilities to destroy other countries? We just toppled leadership in Venezuela. We have a history of human rights violations. What is it? It's American exceptionalism, this idea that we are the moral authority. We are the police of the world. We need to check ourselves, and we need to check ourselves quick and knock this shit off. Mind our own fucking business and start worrying about American citizens.
You are. Listen, again, I will agree with you. It's like every other person thinking the same thing. You're saying the quiet part out loud. I will agree. On my end, I would say, unfortunately, it's like when it comes to Iran, it's like, why do they need these certain types of missiles or have this capability of having these nuclear weapons? Again, why are they not focusing on their own people? And unfortunately, let's hold on. I'm sorry, just real quick. I was quiet. Let's go back to the Muslim religion. I hate to say it, it's very radical. You can't trust it. And every time these leaders, these Muslim leaders, always take over, it's always a bunch of shit goes crazy, and they want to blow shit up, or they want to attack somebody else. And let's be honest, they hate America. They have chanted death to America. So it's like, you can't trust them, brother, which is true. You can't. Again, Israel doesn't like them. Saudi Arabia, other countries that don't like Iran. Plus, they're dirty as shit. They've been doing dirty deals with Russia, North Korea, funneling the money. Once again, that goes deeper. But again, unfortunately, you can't trust them. And you know they're going to be up to some dirty shit 9 times out of 10. And the politics gets way deeper than this that we'll never know. I don't care what anybody says. You'll never know.
Let's just say really quick, most Muslims, I think there's billions, right, of Muslims in the world. They live peacefully. Right, they reject violence, generally speaking, against civilians in Islam's name. You know that. You understand that, right?
No, I don't fully believe that. I'm not going to lie to you.
That is true.
Again, as a Christian, they've killed Christians.
There's Pew Research studies. There's Pew Research evidence I can quite literally show you that says over 90% of Muslims worldwide reject violence against civilians in the name of Allah.
Brother, they
radicalism.
They throw gays off a building. Come on now.
Okay, and what do Christians do? What do Christians do? Because
we don't kill gays.
Hold on. How many regime changes, including in Iran, has the U.S. orchestrated? How many regimes have they toppled? Democracies for corporate gain or oil, or killing millions of millions of people for wars like in Iraq, right? Claiming that there were weapons of mass destruction, right? Let's be honest for a second, right?
Yeah. You're right.
And
You're right.
And to be honest with you keep talking about Muslims and Islam. Like, do you think Christianity is not violent?
No, it's not.
Can you tell me about the Crusades?
What did God say that he wanted?
How many people died during the Crusades?
Oh, okay, yes, quite a bit.
What about the witch hunts? How many people died? How many people were executed during the witch hunts?
But what does a witch have to do with Jesus?
Oh, it has everything to do with it. Who do you think was executing witches? Witches.
People.
Christians.
Well,
can you tell me about the abortion clinic bombings Can you tell me about those?
Hold on. Well, I'm not justifying the blowing up. Okay, hold up.
The largest domestic terrorist attack on U.S. soil was committed by a Christian nationalist.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you talk.
I'm just saying, like, this idea that Muslims are violent and this idea that Christianity is peaceful. Well, Timothy McVeigh was.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Killing babies is wrong, right?
Well, a fetus is not a baby, right? So, like,
man, hold on. I'm sorry. You're a grown man.
Yeah.
And you telling me that you can't tell me that what a baby is or a human? Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
you cannot go down that like liberal road.
Yeah,
that's
it's
insane.
Not liberal.
You're
and
grown.
I'm a leftist.
It is. It's nuts. You're
okay,
grown.
so
what
is a fetus medically?
What is a fetus? A human?
It's an unborn offspring of what?
It's a human. It's a human being. It's only two genders. It's either going to be
a
male or
from
a female.
A baby. A baby refers to a newborn post-birth. Okay, legally
human,
and biologically, and you can dispute science. I don't care. Okay, does a fetus lack independent viability before 24 weeks?
Independent?
Yeah.
No, it's not independent. No.
No, I'm saying does it lack independent viability?
Does it lack?
Yeah, because a baby breathes, feeds, exists.
Well, yeah. It's a living. The woman's growing.
Okay.
The human side of it.
The point is this: I don't want to get off on this
so
topic.
It needs
scientifically, medically, you're incorrect. They are two different things, but that's besides the point. The point is this. Why
are we making it difficult? It's a human.
What you're doing is you're trying to say, right, that Muslims, which I can prove with data, are over 90% peaceful. And I'm not saying Christians aren't either. But there is plenty of examples historically that I can point to, right? Torture, killings, with the Crusades and the witch hunts, like I mentioned previously, modern day examples like abortion clinic bombings, Army of God, terrorism, all sorts of things that Christians have committed. So this idea that people who believe in Islam are dangerous and Christians are not is insane. Furthermore, let me address something here.
Why do they kill you? But why do Muslims kill you if you don't want to convert? That's my thing. They call you an infidel. These people created ISIS.
No, that's not why they call you an infidel.
Fact.
They call you an infidel because you're invading their country and killing their people. That's why they call you an infidel.
I'm not. Listen, let's be honest. Me and you are not invading anything. I'm over here in America. I'm relaxing over here.
Government.
That's the other dummies over there.
Oh, no, that's not the other dummies. It's the U.S. government that you're defending right now. You need to stop defending the U.S. government.
Listen, I'm not defending. I'm with you. Like I said,
here's what I'm going to break this down.
Meddling and
Hold on.
bullshit.
Here, let me break this down to you in the simplest possible way. This war in specific, right? You acknowledge that over 160, 170 children were killed as a part of this military operation, correct?
Which is terrible.
Is it just terrible? I mean, if it was 160 white Christian schoolgirls, would you be enraged? Would you say wipe them off the face of the earth?
The same thing.
No, what you would say is, and I want you to be honest, what you would say is, kill them all. Which is, I mean, I would be pretty pissed too. I honestly may say the same thing.
You're wrong.
Oh, so
if
170 Christian schoolgirls were killed in Texas because Iran dropped a bomb on them, you wouldn't say wipe them off the face of the fucking earth?
Negative. It's terrible.
Right. You would not.
I'm being.
You do not feel the same way you do for them because they're in Iran and they don't look like you.
No,
they don't have the same religion as you, and so therefore their life is a necessary sacrifice or consequence of war. The point I'm making is, can you give me one legitimate justification, right? One benefit for the American taxpayer for this invasion? What is the benefit for the American taxpayer?
Oh, like I said to you earlier, there is no benefit.
So aren't you outraged then that people have died as a result of something you can't even list one benefit for?
Of course it's disappointing that people are dying, but again, war's been going on for so long.
170 little kids. Are you a father?
Oh, hold on.
Are you a father?
Let's talk. Yes, I am. I'm a father.
Okay.
But let's go
How
back
old
to
are your children? Hold on.
How about that?
How
much
old
money
are your children?
People killed over there, right?
Hold on.
What's
How
the
old
same
are your
thing?
children? How old are your children?
Yeah, you're fine.
Do you have?
I got 2 daughters. I got a real quick, I got a 15 and a 13-year-old.
Okay. So you remember when they're still pretty damn young, but you remember when your children were, I'm not saying it wouldn't be just as devastating if they were killed now, but your children were in elementary school. Do you think if those were your children, you would just bypass it like, well, that's disappointing that they died? You would be fucking irate.
I'd be heartbroken. 100%.
But you would be irate. You'd be inconsolable. You would not be able to be talked to. And you know how I know that? Because I would be. So this idea that it's just a necessary consequence, you can't even give me a legitimate, even if you could give me a legitimate justification or benefit for the American people for this war, you would, that still would be wrong, right? You can't even give me a justification, meaning they just went into a country, killed a bunch of people for nothing, for absolutely nothing. And you're trying to talk about the religion being violent? My guy, do you realize how fucked up that sounds?
No, it does not. Because my thing is, before we went to this war, what do you think the Iranian people were doing to their own people? They were killing them too.
You mean the Iranian government?
You make it act like
you said the Iranian
in other
people.
countries they're not killing and torturing their own people.
The Iranian government.
Is that what you believe?
Wait. Are we talking about the Iranian government or the Iranian people? The Iranian people aren't doing that. The Iranian government's doing
Let's just talk. Hold on, real quick. Okay, if you don't mind, please. Let's just talk. Let's just start over. Let's just go back to. Let's just go into every other country, right? They're going to kill their own people, right? Like murders everywhere, wars everywhere. Like no one's perfect, right? We're not the only one just going around meddling and doing stuff here. You know, the Iranians are killing their own people.
There you go again. The Iranians are killing their own people. What you're saying is not true. First of all,
don't we kill? Well, don't we kill?
Hold on,
I
rock you. Thank you for
black
becoming
on black violence. Hold on, I'm black.
Shut up
black
for a
on
second.
black violence.
I rock you. Thank you for becoming a Muppet Masher.
You care about that? You care about the black people killing black people?
I rock you. Thank you for becoming a Muppet Masher, dude. So first of all, you just.
I'm gonna get the answer later.
No, what you're saying, you're trying to create this false equivalency. And now you're talking about black
murder's
people.
murder, right? It's wrong.
But is
it bad when black people kill each other too?
Unprovoked. Why
What's
are
the
you
difference
not
when a black person kills another black person unprovoked?
What is?
I should be outraged about that, right?
What do black people have to do with this?
Can I explain? Again, I'm gonna start over. I am black, even though because I know some of your viewers are going to be ignorant because I speak,
No, I know, but
here.
what you're saying is not true.
My mother,
no,
I'm going to get to the point. It is true, but bro, it is true. First of all, let's start over. My mother's black, my father's Puerto Rican, right? But let's start back into America here, right? We're both Americans. It is true. Black people commit over 90% of the violence, 50% black on black crimes, over 90% in America. Why are we not fixing that problem too? Why are we not talking about that? Why are you not outraged about black people killing other black people for senseless violence? My brother got robbed. I live in Pennsylvania. I'm telling you where. My brother
because that's
got
a
robbed
myth.
by 4 black teens
Whites at 60% of the population
right?
account for the majority of overall arrests and violent crimes in raw numbers. Have you ever read the FBI data from prior to
black people out here killing each other.
Then show me.
But you guys
show
don't
me.
care
I've debated this a million times. I'll destroy you on this topic.
Who cares, dude?
Tell me really quick. Show me an because again, I'm going to state it because you can't substantiate it. White people at 60% of the population account for the majority of arrests and violent crimes in raw numbers.
For what crimes? What killings?
Violent crimes. Violent crimes. Just
so
as a category of crimes. White people dominate arrests for rape. They're over 70% of the people arrested for rape are white people. Aggravated assault, white people. Burglary, white people. Larceny, white people. DUIs, white people. White people commit far more mass shootings. White people commit far more mass shootings, over 50%. Over 50% in the last 6 or 7 years. Right? Total violent crime arrests are dominated by white people. I don't know why you're bringing up black people killing other people because it's insane. It's an insanely ridiculous, misinformed, undereducated take. What it has to do with Iran is fucking insane.
It's true.
Why are you bringing this up in a conversation about Iran?
Because you're telling me that I have to be very aggravated about us killing people in Iran or they're murdering over here. But why are we not worried about America too? Like, let's just talk about this.
My entire argument is based off the fact that we need to sever our relationship in the Middle East, cut off Israel, and stop engaging in these endless, ridiculous, nonsensical conflicts because Zionists, right, think that they have some kind of right that other people don't have. Jews?
You mean by Zion? Some of Jews, right? Correct?
No, I'm talking about Zionists. Do you know the difference between Zionism and Judaism?
Oh no, I thought that's what they call Jews. Zionists.
No, absolutely not. They're two entirely different things. Just because you're anti-Zionist
who are those
doesn't mean you're anti-Semitic.
All right, so who are those white Jews in New York City then? Who are those? I thought they were Zionist Jews.
Wait, what? In New York City, what do you mean? Are they Zionists? Some are.
Right? Okay. All right. So
but again, just stop getting off track. The point is this, dude, okay, is that this war has no legitimate justification, and you're trying to condone the fact that we've killed innocent people as, oh, it's a consequence of war, but yet you can't justify the war you're talking about. You understand?
I'm not justifying anything. I'm agreeing with you that the war is bad, but at the same time, it's just like nothing's going to change, brother. At the end, you can sit or bitch and cry all you want.
Do you know
and
how
have a
it changes?
Podcast. Man is destructive. Man is his own enemy, brother. It's never going to change.
Stop cucking for Israel, then. Stop cucking for Israel.
You know? Stop cucking. Huh? Okay, whatever. I don't know. I don't have to tell you. Like, it is what it is. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to fix it? Of course not.
Well, I can tell you I absolutely have more influence than you do, and I use it necessarily to convince people, hey, you shouldn't vote this way, or you should critically analyze your political position. I've changed God knows how many minds on a daily basis.
I know for one thing, I'm not fucking voting Democrat. You're out of your damn mind.
Okay,
I'm good,
so
dude,
why
on
didn't
that
you
one.
vote for
We're
Kamala
taking
Harris?
a pass.
Let's break it down. Why didn't you vote for Kamala Harris?
Why I did not? I'm sorry.
Yes, why you didn't vote for Kamala Harris?
I'm not voting for the Democratic Party because they're the most racist when it comes to blacks. They've been using us as a pawn and a weapon for votes. Like Malcolm X said, the white liberal you see today is the most dangerous thing on the Western Hemisphere. You're the most deceitful. You're the most deceitful.
I'm not liberal, bro. I'm leftist.
Hey. Well,
but
anytime. Well, no offense, anytime you got a white guy just sitting there bantering about Trump all day, it's like you're a grown ass man, dude. Like, why are you crying about it?
Because I'm a political
I don't divide
commentator.
them. I'm an American just like you. I work hard.
I'm a political.
I work hard just like you do.
Hey, dummy. I'm a political commentator, and he's the president of the United States. So clearly, I'm going to talk about him.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping that if a Democrat wins at the next election, right, I hope you're bitching about them too. Seriously. Because if you're not, then I was right.
Are you saying I don't bitch about Democrats? I complain about Democrats on a daily basis.
I'm not going to lie to you. This is my first time.
I call Democrats.
I'm not going to lie. This is my first time.
Okay, well, every single day I call the office of John Fetterman. He's a Democrat. So no,
I like John Fetterman. Hold on, John Fetterman's a good dude. I like him.
Really?
Come on,
well,
now.
He's a Zionist. So back to Zionism again.
What?
He's a complete and total Zionist. He's a complete and total Zionist. He's a total piece of shit.
Dude, he's the only one Democratic Party that's like common sense.
Oh, please. He's a total piece of shit. He's one of many, but he's probably the biggest piece of shit.
I can't believe how you just say,
I'll give you an example. You want me to give you an example of why he's a piece of shit?
I'm listening. Yes,
I'll give you a legitimate argument right now.
Okay.
So John Fetterman made a stand. Again, I follow every day I follow statements he makes so I can complain. So John Fetterman, when Alex Pretty and Renee Good, I spent a lot of time in Minnesota. You said you're newer to my content, so you probably don't know this, but I spent some time recently in Minnesota over the last couple months. I made multiple trips there and
awesome.
Fighting back against ICE and stuff like that. Anyway, when I was
fighting against ICE.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So he hung up. What a tool. What a fucking... You're damn right I'm fighting back against ICE, you cuck. You're damn right. Listen, here's the first step for that guy. Here's the number one step for that guy. Learn what Zionism is, because this guy thought Zionism was anti-Semitism. Let me explain something to you. I have a lot of Jewish friends. I love Jewish people. I have a lot of cool Jewish friends. None of them are Zionist. None
Call
of them.
from
Matthew.
Matthew, what's going on, dude? Can you give me 1 second real quick? I have to use the bathroom.
Take time, man.
All right, so we're going to bring Matthew up. Guys, when I come back, can every single person in here hit the thumbs up button? I would appreciate it. If we come back and we have at least 100 more thumbs up, we'll continue. Give me 1 second, everybody. All righty. Let's bring this next guest up. You feel like you're in the hospital with the heart monitor? Where'd the last guest go? I had him on hold. Did he hang up? If you are a Trump supporter, call in 908-652-3703. You're welcome to call back. I think that guest that was on hold hung up. So if you are a Trump supporter, call in. I guess they have a problem with me fighting back against ICE. Look, plain and simple, guys. Planting seeds. Planting seeds. I know he ran because I guess he didn't want to have a conversation, I guess. I don't know. I'm putting up a new goal because I've been on here for so long. I would appreciate it if you guys would complete the new goal. Thank you so much. Somebody in chat said, my brain can't take any more callers like the last one. I hear you, bro.
Call from
Michael.
Michael, what's going on?
What's up, buddy?
Okay, all right. Have you called before or no?
I just called a minute ago, but no one picked up. I just saw you put me on hold, so I think you made a mistake, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to the bathroom. Okay, so why do you support the war in Iran, Michael? Go ahead. Guys, I would appreciate everybody hitting that thumbs up button. Nobody did when I went to the bathroom. Everybody should be hitting that thumbs up button, tapping the screen, contribute to the gifting goal, the sub goal up there. I'd appreciate it. Go ahead.
October 7th.
Okay, so you're saying, but that's not the justification that the U.S. government is using for this war. This isn't about October 7th. Right?
Yeah, but they're liars, right? They're liars, right?
Well, this war, have you seen Gaza? Have you seen Rafah? I think they got their justification when they fucking just, killed a bunch of children. I think we're good there, right?
Oh, we didn't kill a bunch of children in Gaza.
Oh, yes, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yes,
over half
the
population population. My tax dollars did, Chud.
Your tax dollars didn't do shit because you don't pay taxes, motherfucker.
I don't pay taxes.
Stop fucking fronting.
Did you say
you don't pay shit?
Okay, so
dude, you
right
don't pay nothing.
Let me make you super jealous. Just in this live alone, I've made over $200. Just in this live alone,
and you're gonna run it all. You're gonna write it all off, dude. You're a businessman.
I don't write it off.
You're not paying shit.
I don't write. I can't write it off.
Then you're a dumbass if you don't write it off.
That's not how. Do you understand? You can't write off all your income, you dumbass. Do you understand?
Yeah, you can write off a lot of it, dude.
No, you can't.
You know that computer you're using, those lights. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and what percentage do you think you can write off?
With your type of business, with a good accountant, probably about 30-40%.
Not even.
Yeah, well then you gotta get a better accountant, dude.
No, you don't know what.
Stop going to H&R Block, bro.
I don't go to H&R Block, but you're say I don't pay taxes is insane.
All right, October 7th, bro. I don't care what.
Listen to me.
How many Americans died?
I'm a political creator. I'm not just on YouTube. I stream on TikTok.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah, and you travel around to Minnesota, which if you're not writing that stuff off, you're a dumbass.
Yeah, but there's limits to what you can write off, dude. And do you realize how expensive those trips are? Do you realize I lost money on them? I lost thousands of dollars on those trips.
Yeah,
by the way,
then you
I
write
gave
that
money.
off to your income, bro. That's what running a business is. It's a write-off.
You cannot.
But anyways, let's move on here, dude. Let's
Keep
move
thinking
on
you
here,
know
dude.
what you're talking. I guess you know more about my taxes than I do.
You seem to know more about everything than everyone else, dude. So maybe you need to humble yourself just a fucking minute, dude.
I do. When it comes to politics,
no, you don't.
Okay, how many?
If you did, Trump wouldn't be in office, dude.
So how many senators?
You're not a Trump.
How many senators are there?
There's 100, bro.
Okay, and can you tell me what is the disqualification clause in the Constitution?
The disqualification clause has something to do with seditious acts and treasonous fucking attempts or whatever.
Nope. What about the establishment clause? Can you tell me about that?
The establishment clause.
Yeah, you're not.
Why do I need to?
Because I'm simply proving you're not in my league. I do this every
because
day.
you know something about the establishment clause,
more
dude.
than you.
I can look up.
Listen,
I know what it is. It's not on the
Listen,
motive of what we're talking about right now. Which is why we're.
Can you shut up? Can you make a case for how this
dude,
benefits
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I'm politically smart.
Shut the fuck up. You did say you're politically smart. That's the first thing you said. That's why I asked you, right? You started questioning my knowledge on political science, and you cannot compete. You will lose. You absolutely did. That's why we brought it up. Goofy. What is the U.S. government's justification for the war? Thank you so much, Lee. Appreciate the $10 Venmo. Thanks, Adam. Keep fighting for us. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate you. Thank you, Lee. Somebody in the chat. Listen, I just got to read this out loud because somebody in the chat said this and it's funny as fuck. Hold on one second, Jake. Somebody in the chat said, where is it? Fuck it. Oh, he said, this dude 100% tucks in his T-shirt so he can show off his phone belt clip. Dude, Schrader, that's the funniest, most accurate fucking description of a caller I've ever heard in my fucking life. All right, dude, what's your name?
That's Jake.
Jake, are you a Trump supporter, and do you support the war in Iran, and why?
Yes. I guess like my stance would be limiting Iran's influence in the Middle East.
Okay.
Is a good thing.
Okay. So a good thing in what way? Like in terms of like Hezbollah and Hamas kind of thing? Or are you talking about like, because I mean influence over what specifically? Those groups or?
Yeah, their influence on those groups. Okay. And just, you know, they essentially endanger all those neighboring countries of theirs.
I disagree.
Their control over the, I mean, you know, just their influence is negative, you know, overall, just with the neighboring countries, with the groups that they fund, their massive control over, you know, their state control over the oil that they have there. I think
problematic.
I think limiting their overall influence. I mean, just from that point of view, I think Iran's influence isn't a positive thing for the world. It's a negative thing for the world and that region specifically. And maybe how we're going about it, or you know, the philosophy of the war, I mean, definitely can be argued. But I think efforts to limit their influence in that region is a good thing.
Well, I think it's funny you dismissed how we're going about it as just no big deal, right? Because you said, well, we can argue how we're going about it. Well, how we're going about it is the most important part of this conversation. It's why we're having this conversation, right? Most importantly is how we go about it. And my argument largely depends on the fact that the U.S. government did not understand the 4-point strategy, does not understand the Mosaic Doctrine, did not understand the consequences of choking the Strait of Hormuz. So now we're in a position where Iran has sucked us into a conflict that I don't think the U.S. can just withdraw from at their discretion, right? And so now we have the potential for another years-long trillion-dollar bloody conflict that's going to cost the American taxpayer and potentially the globe economically. Do you know what the Mosaic Doctrine is?
I'm not aware. No.
So the Mosaic Doctrine is Iran's restructured military strategy. It is a strategy they came up with after studying the United States and Israel's military action over the last 30 years, and how they attack countries, how they respond, right, in different ways militarily. And what they've discovered is, what we all know, is the U.S. likes to conduct decapitation strikes. They like to kill your leaders and hope that your country runs around like a chicken with its head cut off, right? Cut the head off the snake. And what they don't understand is it's a hydra. Iran's military, the IRGC, is structured in a way that once you decapitate leadership, they break off into 31 different groups over 31 different provinces, and they operate independently without any communication with the regime. Secondly, the regime itself is structured in a way to survive decapitation strikes. 3 hours after they killed the supreme leader, they had a 3-man council set up because their government is structured to absorb those types of military strikes. I don't think our government is competent enough to execute this type of military operation. I can tell you that I don't think Iran should own a nuclear weapon, but I don't think any country should own a nuclear weapon. Misperception, thank you for the $4 super chat. I think Iran shouldn't own a nuke like any other country shouldn't own a nuke. And when I think you look at other circumstances geopolitically, like we've seen in Ukraine, the United States will sign diplomatic agreements with countries and then not uphold those diplomatic agreements, like the 94 Budapest Memorandum, where we agreed to defend the sovereignty of Ukraine, and then years later we get tired of assisting in defending their sovereignty, and already we're advocating for withdrawing our support. So I think that, our history shows that countries probably shouldn't trust us, shouldn't work with us, and then when they don't do those things, we say, well, then we're going to bomb your leadership into submission. And I think in this case, our government didn't do that competently.
Yeah, no, I mean, I respect that take. But we've done more than just take out their leader, though, right? I mean, we've done a lot more than.
Tell me what we've done. So we've done more than take out their leader in terms of damaging their military assets, but the question specifically would be, what have we done to prevent developing weapons grade enriched uranium long term? Because that's the administration's justification, and we can only go off the administration's justification. So specifically tell me what military operation has been conducted within this conflict to delay or eliminate their ability to develop such capabilities.
Well, I mean, we've taken out air and missile strikes on the military targets. We've done major naval operations.
Mm-hmm. We've done a lot. We've
put
significantly damaged
a
their
lot
military.
of economic pressure. Yeah, we put a lot of economic pressure from what we're doing, and
as of
our
today,
cyber intelligence operations
yeah.
Also. We've done. I mean, it seems like so far
But that's not what I asked you.
Yeah, of course we killed.
I asked you what we have done militarily to prohibit them from developing weapons grade enriched uranium. Are you familiar with Operation Midnight Hammer?
Yeah, from last year.
Sure. Explain to me what that operation was conducted for.
Well, they had deep in the mountains there. They had their labs,
enrichment facilities, right? And what did we do?
Yeah, well, we try to take those out, right?
Mm-hmm. And was it successful according to the administration?
According to them, at least for that site, it was.
No, it wasn't for that site, but they said that they significantly delayed their ability to produce weapons-grade enriched uranium. Those are the exact words of both the Zionists in Israel, Netanyahu, and Donald Trump, right? This was the most successful operation we've ever conducted in cooperation with Israel. But yet, here we are months later, conducting another military operation with the same exact excuse. Do I need to play for you Netanyahu saying this over the last 35 years, this same excuse that Iran is weeks away from developing weapons-grade enriched uranium? We killed their 86-year-old supreme leader, so their 35-year-old or their 50-something-year-old son could take over, who's 3 times as pissed as the dad because you've killed his children, you've killed his father, you've killed his friends, right? We haven't done anything militarily to prevent them from developing weapons-grade enriched uranium, which is the entire purpose of this operation to start with. That's what's frustrating to me, right? If you could give me a legitimate excuse, here's the problem. I could go into different arguments about why I don't think the United States has the moral authority to be deciding whether or not countries have these capabilities, and that's a separate conversation. But let's just discuss strategy and competency. Is our government competently, right, attacking this situation and preventing Iran from producing weapons-grade enriched uranium? That's the question you need to ask yourself. If the answer is no, then this has been a failure thus far, and that's what you need to admit. You could come up with a million different excuses in your head morally. Okay, Iranian's government is evil. Agreed. The regime is evil. Agreed. They're oppressive. Agreed. They commit human rights violations. Agreed. All true. But that's not the objective. You can't have 6 objectives. You have an objective. Your objective is we're going to stop them from producing weapons-grade enriched uranium. And have you done that? No. And now you're in a situation where you've actually handed Iran their nuclear option by allowing them to choke the waterway that controls 20% of oil production globally. That's a failure of leadership.
Well, we have choked a lot of their supply lines for them to even import such equipment to enrich uranium. They've intercepted our military naval forces have intercepted many weapons shipments already, and they've done strategic strikes on
they're claiming they already have. So yes,
hubs.
Okay, you're talking about sanctions. What are you talking about?
No, I mean. Well, like militarily, like we have disrupted a lot of their land routes, and we have initiated strikes on many of their logistics hubs.
We've been doing like we've been targeting their ability to create nuclear and conventional weapons for a long time, but they're claiming they're weeks away again. What specifically did you hear about any strikes targeted at enrichment facilities? The point is, this operation makes no sense. And what was the plan for preventing escalation? Now you have this issue in the Strait, right? With that essentially forces a long-term commitment. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, I do agree. I do agree.
So that's got to be a failure, dude. It's got to be a failure. There's no other way to look at this other than a failure. You can come up with a million different there's legitimate moral justifications for why these people should die. The leadership I'm talking about, most certainly. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how does this benefit the American people? They don't have the weapons technology to reach the United States. They can only reach Europe. They can't produce weapons grade enriched. In fact, I don't even think they really want to. Trump was asked about Iran wanting a civilian nuclear program, and the president of the United States stood on national television and said, I think a civilian nuclear program is uncivilized. What? I mean, I'm just waiting for Trump supporters to wake up and realize this is simply a puppet job for Israel, and we need to stop supporting these Zionist pigs and fucking get the hell out of Israel, get the hell out of the Middle East, and start worrying about American citizens.
No, I think you'd be surprised that I do agree with a lot of that. I I would rather us actually kind of control that strait and the commerce of that area than Iran.
Yeah, I
than
agree
enemy
with that, but
state.
you're
Just
talking
per-
about a
just per-
presence
just-
that extends beyond 4 to 5
Just
weeks. which the president said.
just personally, like if you look at after World War II, with South Korea and Japan, many of the commerce that goes through like the Sea of Japan, and goes through those major trade routes, we de facto, I don't want to say control, but through our allies and through our strong economic ties, military ties, we essentially have control. Like the Panama Canal. There's a lot of different choke points of the world that, I personally would rather have us control than an enemy state control, if that makes sense.
No, I understand what you're trying. I totally understand what you're trying to say.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's necessarily a.
And you have a superior navy to do
for
that.
The war.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not, gonna sit here and defend, Israel. I'm just saying that there are other examples throughout the world where there are major choke points and economic risk zones, where when the United States or when our allies have control, it is better for the United States in the end.
I understand that,
and that's where.
But you're still talking about perpetual war because you're locking us into these endless patrols. Okay, these retaliation
not
cycles. Yes, you are, because they're just going to continue to mine it. Hold on, because Iran can't match.
They're not in war.
I think you believe because Iran can't match us in terms of our naval power. Is that what you're talking about? You understand they mine it, right? They deploy mines, right? They use speedboats and anti-ship missiles, and they can do that until the cows come home. Okay? And so what that does is it forces perpetual war.
Well, in those other areas that I mentioned, we're not in perpetual war. There was a war at one point and great conflict, but then, over time, we do have control over those choke points of the world, or at least we have our hand in those.
How many years do you think this is going to take?
Zones.
How many years? I mean, seriously. I mean, this is supposed to be a 3 to 4 week conflict, and I don't think they're talking about
Right. No, and I look, man. Like there's actually probably a lot in the background that we do agree with. I'm just trying to tell you, like, my logic for, I think, the benefit of, if we or our allies both, do monitor and de facto control those important choke points around the world and those strategic, zones, for commerce and economics, which the Strait of Hormuz is. I would rather it be in our hands or the hands of our allies than.
But
you
do understand our dominance over the strait is not the justification for the war, according to the administration.
No, I agree.
So what you're doing. This was a consequence. This wasn't the justification. You understand? This was a consequence.
Well, no, I think there are many layers to this.
No,
I don't
they
think
were
it
asked
was,
directly.
I don't think it was only.
They were asked.
I don't think it was only
no.
for. I don't think it was only just because of Israel. I think Israel has its own, intentionality in the U.S. We have our own intentionality, and we just strike that area at the same time. But I
do you understand how easy it is for Iran to continue to mine, drone swarm, conduct missile barrages in the strait? Like, do you understand? Like, it costs them nothing to do. They could do this for years, literal years.
They could, but the thing is, it's going to be a lot harder for them to obtain, the shipment of materials to create those. If those supply lines and roads and airspaces and sea is effectively controlled by us or embargoed by us in a way, yeah, they can potentially, but it's going to be a lot harder for them in the long run if we are basically choking the country that way. Just like with Venezuela, like they couldn't import anything, they couldn't export anything. We controlled all those supply lines, and so if
But
you control the supply lines of the country,
but
you're
still talking
out.
about
They're going to run out of resources.
But you still have to maintain presence,
right?
Yes, but you still have to maintain. What we're trying to avoid.
You definitely
I think
have
you're missing the idea. You're missing the entire point. We don't want to maintain presence in the Middle East. The entire point of this is to avoid these endless conflicts. Right? That's the entire point, isn't it? So now you're talking about another solution that involves endless war, endless presence. No one wants it. We don't want to do that again. That's what we did in Afghanistan. That's what we did in Iraq. We don't want to do this again. Americans overwhelmingly don't want presence there. Overwhelmingly.
Right. No, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
But it sounds like you're okay with it as long as we control the strait. But you're just talking about another endless occupation.
No, I wouldn't want an endless occupation. I wouldn't. It's just I think that the first step into that, just like those other areas of the world that I was referring to earlier, there has to be that initial first step, and that's just kind of how I see it with those other examples. It might be a false equivalency, but I can see the long-term benefit if the influence of Iran falls in that area, because they are a bad influence. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. And that bad influence does fall, and then a lot of their supply lines would choke them out. And then if we control...
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever done a cost analysis on whether or not this outweighs, like the cost of maintaining military presence outweighs oil flow benefits? And have you ever studied this? Have you ever looked into it at all? I mean, I haven't. I'm just curious. If you haven't, it's very difficult to say this is a legitimate justification if you haven't conducted an actual cost analysis of what it would cost to maintain presence would have to far outweigh oil flow benefits, right?
Right. Well, we maintained after World War II, we maintained significant presence. We still do in the heart of Europe. We maintain many naval bases and air bases in South Korea.
Not the same thing.
And many of that, it's not just oil, but it's a lot of the commerce. Well, the thing is, the concept is trade and commerce, and in order to maintain that flow, especially tilting the benefit towards the U.S., we maintain presence everywhere in order to maintain proper flow of commerce and to support the allies in those regions. I mean, we do it everywhere else. It's not a war in those areas. There was a war in those areas,
and we're talking about much more hostile Iran, right? Well, Iran's much more hostile, right? You're talking about stable.
Well, Japan was pretty hostile.
Okay, I understand, but I was talking about Europe. You were referring to like NATO managed routes, right? Those aren't the same thing as hostile Iran. So I'm simply
in East Asia. In East Asia, it's not NATO. I mean,
I know that's why I just said that. I know. I said that's why I said you mentioned Europe. So I was simply saying you were talking about European checkpoints, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, because you made the point where where consistent presence, outweighs the benefit or whichever. But there are cases around the world where we do maintain presence, and it does cost a lot of taxpayer monies to maintain those presence in order to keep the flow of commerce between countries, and to protect that. So I mean, there are many cases where we have done that. I know the Middle East is a little more tricky. Absolutely,
that's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, So, but here's what I'd say to
Yeah,
you.
no, I get that.
That's not their justification, but I think you would need to, if you really wanted to debate the subject, and I honestly haven't done it myself, but I guess we would have to like perform a cost analysis on what it would cost to maintain presence in order before we argued this. And I honestly don't have that information in front of me to be able to do that.
No, I don't either. I definitely am not, a Zionist. What you're talking about with Israel, I totally get. I'm just kind of spinning my logic into.
Here's the thing. Here's my biggest issue, right? Honestly, I would probably be more understanding if we were having this conversation, if I was having this conversation with people in the administration. But that's not their justification. Do you understand what I mean? And so the problem is that you told us months ago that you were conducting a military operation at the taxpayers' expense to destroy their ability to produce weapons-grade enriched uranium. You said it was a successful operation, and here you are months again doing the same exact thing, which is more expensive this time, right? To do the exact same thing. The objective remains the same. I think I have a problem with the fact that the Secretary of State is saying things that contradict what the president said in regards to whether or not Israel was planning a strike, and these were preemptive strikes to prevent Iranian attacks on U.S. military bases. Trump says that he got intelligence or something that Iran was going to strike U.S. military bases in the middle of negotiations. So I have a problem with the fact that they're not telling the truth. There's no clear objective. The strategy itself seems incompetent. It doesn't consider at all the restructured military doctrine and the Mosaic doctrine. It doesn't consider their 4-point strategy. I think they really kind of gambled on the fact that if they decapitate leadership to a significant extent, that they will force some kind of Iranian uprising, and that didn't happen. And I don't like my government gambling, number one, with my money or with my fellow Americans' lives, right? And I think that's what's happening here. I think they took a gamble and hoped that something would work, and it didn't. I mean, explain to me how you conduct such an operation and don't consider Iran's reaction in regards to choking the strait. How is that not considered? Because if it was considered, would you ever lay out a 4 to 6 week time frame? You wouldn't, right? You would say, I don't know how long this is going to take.
Right.
So you tell me, are they lying or are they incompetent? Which one is it?
How
do you lay out lay out a 4 to 6 week time frame? We just had a long conversation about the Strait of Hormuz, right? How do you lay out a 4 to 6 week time frame for this war, understanding that Iran is going to mine the strait?
Yeah, no, I don't understand the 4 week time frame.
There you
to be
go.
honest with you, I don't understand.
But doesn't that indicate to you they're being dishonest? I mean, they're lying.
Well, I don't know what exactly they mean by the 4 week time frame. 4 week
That
time
it would
frame
take
to,
4
to
weeks.
take out.
Yes, that they would be done in 4 weeks. They were very clear.
Done with what exactly?
That we would be gone in 4 weeks. There's no discrepancies.
They said we would be gone in. I don't know if they said that we'd be gone in 4 weeks.
So wait, are you saying that they were saying 4 weeks for something else? They said this would be a 4 week military a 4 week military operation means we're gone in 4 weeks. It doesn't mean we're maintaining presence for 3 years. And if it is, you need to tell the American people you plan on maintaining presence. That's what Americans fear, dude. They fear that there was no plan to prevent escalation. What is America's biggest fear? Our fear is that it's going to end up as another 20-year war. Didn't Trump run on the fact that, like, the first time he was one of the Republicans, besides Rand Paul, willing to admit that the war in Iraq was a disaster and that we shouldn't spend 20 years in the Middle East? What happened to that? Where's that guy?
Right. No. Well, he did say. I mean, after he came down the escalator in 2015, he actually did say he would take out ISIS and he would handle Iran. He actually did say he would conduct major strikes on them.
Wait. He said what? Wait. He said what? When are we talking? When did he say
it? in 2015, like right after he came down that escalator, man.
He said if Iran,
he
said if I believe, if I remember correctly, I don't have it in front of me, but if I remember correctly, he said that if Iran was to attack Israel, Iran didn't attack Israel. They conducted retaliatory strikes for bombing their enrichment facilities, but they didn't attack Israel.
No, I don't. Well, I don't remember saying that exactly, but I do remember him on stage, even during the initial debates, that he would not allow them to have a nuclear weapon or advanced missile capabilities, and that he would take them out.
But he also recognized that the Middle East is an endless pit of money and blood, and that it's senseless.
Right, he did say that.
Right?
No, he
so
did say that.
You can't have it both ways.
And just to revert back to the 4-week operation, I'm just looking at what they're saying here from the Washington Examiner and through other sources, that the 4-week operation means the initial military phase.
Oh, stop it!
Where it would be intense strikes.
Oh, stop it! That's not true. He literally said this was going to be a 4-week operation. What do you mean? Now that's the first phase? I mean,
well, the main bombing and attack. They mentioned that, and Peak Heads had said that the main bombing and attack phase would last about a month. So that's the first phase in the whole operation.
But regardless, you understand that we're talking about an extended period. You would have to commit a presence over in Iran if you're going to keep the strait open, right?
Right, but I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just saying, be transparent with people. Yeah, you're being deceptive. They're being deceptive, and so are you right now. You're being deceptive. Know damn well it's dishonest.
I'm just quoting what they said.
Well, I'm saying you're smart enough to understand it's dishonest. Okay, you know it's dishonest. You know it's deceptive. You know damn well it is. People don't like to hear about, we're going to war in the Middle East and we can't tell you when the war is going to be over. It's like, well, is this a war or not? Like, Trump calls it a war and then he says it's not a war. Let me ask you this. Why is this?
I don't think.
Hold on. Why is the Secretary of State? Let me ask you a question. Does it concern you at all? How much respect do you have for Marco Rubio? He's far smarter than Trump. Agreed?
No, I agree. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I like Marco Rubio too.
Right. So why is Marco Rubio, probably one of the smarter people in this administration, why is he saying that Israel was planning an attack and these were preemptive strikes to prevent attacking U.S. military bases? And then when Trump is asked, did Israel force your hand? He says, no, I forced their hand. We found out that Iran was going to attack U.S. military bases. Do you not lose all trust when the administration's lying to your face? Because I'm just wondering, how long are you willing to keep eating shit?
Wait, he said, can you repeat that last part?
Sure, I'll play it for you.
He said?
I'll literally play it for you. Hold on. I'll literally play it for you. I'm going to mute you. Go watch my live stream. I'm going to pull it up on my live stream. I'm not disconnecting from you, but I'm just going to mute you so that way you can turn on my live stream, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So I'm putting him on hold. Let me pull this up really quick for him. I'm going to play this for you right now. Here we go. Here we go, folks.
Mr. President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did that pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack if we didn't do it. So, if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action.
Let me know when you've heard that.
I'm listening here. Yeah, so he said that they knew that there was going to be an Israeli action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's different than what Trump said. Trump said he was specifically asked did Israel force his hand, and then he said no, it was his feeling that Iran was going to attack amid negotiations. And then Marco Rubio said, well, we knew there was going to be an Israeli action, and these were preemptive strikes to prevent attacks on U.S. military bases, which, although I would disagree with, at least it's honest. Trump is lying. So the point is, how long are you willing to accept this, right? You're arguing an entirely different objective. You can't have 4 or 5 objectives. You can have multiple benefits, but there has to be one clear objective. You're arguing an entirely different objective. Okay, I'm going to let that go. How long are you willing to let the administration lie to your face? They're lying to you, dude. Clearly.
I don't know what all that background information. If he knew that Israel going to strike first,
oh my God, can you provide any evidence that's true?
I don't know.
Can you provide any evidence that that's true? That's a crock of shit, dude. They were in the
I
middle.
don't know. I don't think we can provide evidence that it's not. I mean, I don't know.
You don't prove a negative. You don't prove negatives, right? That's not how you work. That's not how this works.
Well, we have. I mean, we're still in the middle of this. We'll have to wait and see what it proves.
Well, sure. If it falls out of thin air, then we'll certainly go, wow, that's crazy. Iran was going to attack amid negotiations, because that totally makes sense that Iran would attack U.S. military bases amid negotiations on whether or not they can have a civilian nuclear program, because that totally makes complete sense. I mean, come on.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past. I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, the thing is, Iran is not. I mean, do we trust Iran?
No.
During their negotiating? No. I mean,
no, but that just doesn't make any sense.
I don't trust them.
No, you're right. No, I wouldn't. But does it make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. Just like it doesn't make sense that they tried to kill Trump. I mean, does anyone believe that they tried to kill a sitting U.S. president, as if we wouldn't wipe them off the face of the earth in seconds if they ever even dared to kill a sitting U.S. president? I mean, does anyone in the chat right now, I want everyone to tell me, as you're listening, do you believe that the Iranian regime tried to kill Trump? Does anyone actually believe they would have the fucking audacity to try and kill a sitting U.S. president? I would bet my life that that's not true. And you know how I know that's not true? Do you know how I know? Because they were breathing. If the U.S. had proof that they did that, they would be dead before they got home for supper. If the U.S. could legitimately prove, that the Iranian government tried to kill a sitting U.S. president, I don't care if it's Trump, it doesn't matter who it is, that you tried to kill a sitting U.S. president, you tried to assassinate a sitting U.S. president in our country, you'd be dead so quick your head would spin. No way that's true.
Do you think if they had the opportunity, they wouldn't take it?
Nope. I don't think they would touch him in a million years. They know I think they'd be terrified to lay a fucking hand on him.
Do you think that negotiations would actually work with them? Whose
fault is that? Whose fault is that? Let's look at most recent. We talk about historical precedents, right? Let's talk about some recent negotiations, and we've seen the effect of these negotiations. You're familiar with the '94 Budapest Memorandum?
I have heard of that.
It's not a gotcha. I'm trying to prove a point. So Ukraine, right? United States, Russia. Came to this agreement that if Ukraine surrendered their nuclear stockpile after the collapse of the Soviet Union, at the time the second most powerful stockpile in the world, that the United States would defend their would assist supporting them in defending their sovereignty. Ukraine got invaded by Russia, right? Well, in fact, they annexed Crimea in 2014, as you probably know, and then they further invaded under the Biden administration. But regardless, that violated the Budapest Memorandum. Just years into this war, the United States wants to pull out of their diplomatic agreement with this country that if they surrender the one thing that keeps them sovereign, right, we will defend their sovereignty. Most people on the right didn't want to keep supporting Ukraine. If you're another country sitting there, right, deciding whether or not to develop weapons-grade enriched uranium, and the United States says, hey, we want to negotiate some kind of diplomatic solution to this so you can surrender your capabilities. The one thing we know keeps you sovereign. And you look up what happened with Ukraine, where they called in the democratically elected leader and mocked him and said, are you going to say thank you? And then kicked him out of the White House. Would you feel comfortable negotiating with that country? I wouldn't. I would say, man, the U.S. can't be trusted. They'll either kill you or they'll negotiate a diplomatic solution and then pull out of this agreement if they decide it costs too much. Right? Like, the U.S.
Right. No,
the U.S. is to blame for country. But the point I'm making, dude, very simply put, is the U.S. is to blame for countries not trusting the United States, not those countries. We have to accept some responsibility for our actions. I said from the beginning that people do not understand the consequences geopolitically to not supporting the Budapest Memorandum, although not a treaty, an agreement in place that other countries may consider this when negotiating diplomatically on whether or not to surrender these capabilities, that the United States will not uphold these agreements. We don't have a good track record, and we need to start accepting responsibility for our poor track record before we start blaming other countries for their inability or unwillingness to negotiate with us effectively.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, I see it also. I can see that point. I mean, I see it the other way around as well. I mean, I wouldn't trust Iran. I mean, I'll give you.
Agreed. Two wrongs don't make a right, though. I agree. I've said I said from the beginning, Iran's regime can't be trusted either. I'm fine with saying that, but I'm responsible for the U.S.
Let me give you another. Well, and you gave a historical example. Can I give you one? When in the 90s. Well, it started in 1985, but with North Korea, they had a uranium enrichment program, and they were saying, "Oh, it's just for civilian use. It's just for, it's just for our country." And then we did have an agreement with them, with the UN, to actually check in on their program. And you know what they wind up doing? They kicked us out. And the thing is, we were checking on them a little too closely, because you know what they were really doing? They weren't doing it for civilian use. They're doing it to make nuclear weapons, which now they have now. And so I think negotiations with terrorist countries, dictatorships, it doesn't work, man. It doesn't work the same way. You know what I mean? Like you get what I'm saying there? Like, there is a historical example where a dictatorship, terrorist ran country were doing actual shady things when they said they weren't. And then they went kicking us out because we looked a little too closely at it. And so I don't think negotiations, I think it's the same kind of scenario there. I don't think that would have worked. I think they would have done. You don't have a lab,
Well,
2 miles under a
they
mountain
didn't kick out the United States.
Use.
They didn't kick out the United States, if I remember correctly. You're talking about when they hid the secret bomb program while taking the benefits from the agreement. They didn't kick us out. They technically violated the agreement by hiding an aspect of the program. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, in 90, it was like 93 or 94. Like,
right, I know what you're talking about.
Were kicked out.
Well, no, they signed it in 94, 93 or 94, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, when we were in 93, 94, I don't know exactly what year it was, but the inspections broke down, and they did wind up kicking the IAEA?
Yeah, North Korea. You're talking about North Korea violated the agreement because they hid the uranium path. They didn't kick us out. They just violated the agreement. Is what you're talking about, right? I believe that's what
they violated. But they were only found out that they violated through inspection.
Right, but
They didn't tell us, right? We found
no,
that out.
But they admitted
all
it.
Negotiation
They
broke down.
admitted it, but they blamed the United States, right? They said that
Well,
the
of course,
agreement was
of course,
hostile or whatever. But the point I'm making is that regardless, that's kind of a false equivalency. These are not the same thing. The point is the United States makes agreements with. If you're going to be, you know what the difference between the United States and North Korea is? The United States deciding whether or not other countries can have these capabilities. North Korea is not. That's what makes it a false equivalency. The United States is deciding this country can have them and this country can't. Israel can possess these capabilities and Iran can't, because Iran says death to America, or Iran has radical extremist ideology. And this is why I say American exceptionalism is problematic, because it ignores the fact that we have a tremendously problematic history, right? That involves military strikes, military action on innocent civilians, and just like these other countries did. And we isolate these incidents as if they're the only
those
ones.
Those countries are more dangerous.
What?
I mean, those countries are more dangerous. I mean, I was
stop
in,
it! Stop it!
Oh,
How
well,
many?
North Korea's way more
Iraqi
dangerous.
civilians?
Iran's way more dangerous.
How many Iraqi civilians died in the global war on terror? Like how many?
A lot. No,
right, but if are we measuring this by the amount of death?
No, I'm talking specifically about the regional neighbors. I mean,
I understand you're talking about potential consequences, though. I'm talking about actual death that's occurred as a result of these nonsensical conflicts, right? I'm talking about body count. Thousands, millions across, millions across the post 9/11 wars by itself. Many of which were not justified looking back. All I'm saying is the U.S. is not you understand, you would at least concede this is not a good guy, bad guy situation. It involves far more nuance.
Well, yeah, it is far more nuanced.
Okay, but I'm saying most Trumpers don't.
I do, but Saddam was saying, like, us going to Iraq, was a big mistake. But if you're going to talk about body count, it's over 500,000 deaths that is recorded by many historians. He killed like over 200,000 Kurds,
there you go again.
Tens of thousands of Shiites and civilians.
Again,
I'm almost saying, if you want to talk about body count.
No, because what you're doing is
North Koreans killed a lot of body. There's a high body count for North Koreans. I mean,
that's fine.
And
did I say that he was a good person? Did I say it was good? Or did I say it made the situation worse? No, because I'm looking at it strategically, and you're trying to compare. You're trying to say because he's bad, there's still some justification. Again, no one's disregard.
It's dangerous. It's more dangerous. And
no
body count. We could talk.
No, all that matters, right, is that you wouldn't do it again. In a million years, you would not okay the invasion of Iraq, correct? Unless you're psychopathic. You would not Okay. So the point is you wouldn't do it again because it destabilized the Middle East. It resulted in far more death, right? Again, I'm not saying that he's a good person. I'm not saying these deaths are justified. I'm not saying he shouldn't have died. I'm not saying I shed a tear for him. I'm just simply saying strategically it was idiotic, right?
I think the boots on the ground strategy is behind us. Potentially, I think that there's new strategies when it comes to electronic warfare, taking down the grid, choke points, bombing, aerial superiority. It's a completely different military environment than it was during the 2002 Iraq War.
So then give me your post. Yeah, okay, so 9/11 happens. You're the president of the United States. What do? Are you touching the Middle East?
Not in the way that we did.
No, that's not what I asked you. I said, are you touching the Middle East?
Touching as far as what?
What are you doing?
Like going over there?
Yeah, because because I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm simply.
You mean what Israel did on 9/11? I might agree with you on a lot of stuff there, man. Like it's
Oh well, I mean,
different,
yeah,
you know,
I mean that's a whole separate. I mean, and absolutely,
that's a whole.
But let's just talk about the war in
I'm
Iraq.
not tied to that.
Let's just talk about the war in Iraq in specific, because I think this is relevant, and we can include Israel in this conversation. Benjamin Netanyahu testifies in front of Congress that if you topple the Hussein regime, it will have numerous positive benefits in the region. It will disable terror networks. It will have all the, he had relations with Osama bin Laden. It will destroy weapons of mass destruction. There was a bunch of crazy.
All that was BS.
All bullshit. All complete bullshit.
All bullshit.
Do you touch Iraq?
I
don't even touch Iraq. Iraq, outside of maybe considering isolated military, some kind of like special forces operation that targets Al Qaeda in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
You could kind of make a case for those people are dangerous because it's a terror network connected to Osama bin Laden. But outside of that, I'm not really touching Iraq. Afghanistan, Osama bin Laden's not even in Afghanistan. He's in Pakistan. So I don't think Afghanistan really is justified either. So the point I'm trying to make is you really don't touch the Middle East at all. You don't even touch it. You really, really don't. I mean, honestly, if you never touched it, as bad as he was, as awful as he was, honestly, it's not our business, right? And all we did was further destabilize the region. We need to understand
I
we
agree.
make things worse, not better.
I agree with all that.
Right.
No,
so
I agree.
Then why wasn't your
answer?
I wouldn't do anything in the Middle East? Why are you still considering attacking Iraq? That's crazy.
I wouldn't attack Iraq. I never said that.
So then why didn't you say, what would you do? I asked you, what would you do in the Middle East? What was your answer?
From what we know now, with potentially actually Israel causing 9/11, it'd probably be a lot different. Touching the Middle East would probably be a lot.
What do you mean Israel causing 9/11?
You know
I mean, Osama bin Laden could definitely conducted the terrorist attacks. I mean, these were Saudis, but these were Saudis.
I just think that
you understand. Hold on, let me just clarify, because I want to make sure that this is important, right? The Saudis were it's very clear now that these were Saudis in contact with Saudi intelligence agents, right? That were potentially communicating with. I mean, there's certain aspects to this I'm not going to get into on here because I don't think I can. But this idea that they were Afghanis, they weren't from Afghanistan, right? It was Saudis, right? Agreed.
Yes. Well, from what we know, from what we know, sure.
Okay. Well, then you wouldn't do anything in Afghanistan.
But hold on. Hold on a second. I mean, there's the thing is, what we were told in 9/11 was a bunch of BS. In my opinion, the
agree.
Media, all that was fake, and that's the thing. Like when you're showing the stuff, with Trump and Marco Rubio and all that stuff, how it's BS. Yeah, all that. I don't believe anything I see on TV, man. My initial argument in the very beginning was my logic towards the potential long-term benefit of taking control of a strategic economic zone, where you look at other areas of the world where we do control it or we have major influence through our allies, like in East Asia, like the Panama Canal, like parts of South America.
I understand
and
that, but
Europe.
you're again.
Like that.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Don't need to repeat
those,
that.
We all had.
But that's not what their
we
objective
all had.
is.
I'm just saying that we were all fed, even back then, certain media objectives. You get what I'm saying? Certain media objectives that are all horseshit. All of it was. And I'm not saying that I believe all that stuff that is being told to us. I'm just saying that from the historical perspective, the economic outcome of controlling a major choke point on this earth has created a long-term benefit for the United
And I
States.
explained this to you. What did I say to you about this, though? You, in order to argue this, you have to conduct a cost analysis. Otherwise, your argument falls flat. Otherwise, why is it not a clear objective for the administration? You would have to come back to me with a legitimate cost analysis and say, this is how much it would cost to maintain prices.
They're not going to tell us.
No, but I'm saying you could come up with probably something, right, to at least, you could try and look up some information and try and say, okay, I don't know, like you could come up with something.
Well, look at all the cost analysis from all those other important choke points on this earth, dude. Like that we do control and our allies control.
You already admitted
it's
the
an
Middle
economic
East.
benefit.
Hold on. Did you already concede that the Middle East is unique in that sense, right? It's far more hostile. We're talking about Iran. We're not talking about anywhere else. We're talking about Iran. It's different. It's unique in its own way. And then it's going to require different things in terms of military assets. So
it's going to require a different strategy. It's going to require a different strategy.
And assets.
That's what it is. Just like all those other areas. All those other areas had its own unique strategy where we wind up taking control.
Right.
Very unique, different diplomatic strategy.
All I'll say to this is that you're arguing an objective that they have not argued is a legitimate objective. They're just simply saying it's about weapons.
I don't think they will.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if that was a legitimate objective, they would. There's a reason they're not. Is what I'm saying.
They just never have, and that's my point. Is like that they never have in all those other conflicts.
All
it was always something that was an existential threat, some BS, as a reason for them to do so. But in the long run, all those areas in East Asia and in South America and in Europe wind up being a net marginal positive for the U.S. as far as trade, as far as economic alliances, as far as protection. You go down the list, all those wind up over time, even in diplomacy, everything that has become actually better long-term for the United States. Of course,
I'd be willing to have this conversation with you if you could come up with a legitimate, or at least just come up with some kind of hypothetical cost analysis, and then we'll have a discussion about it. I'm going to go to the bathroom and move on to the next guest. Thanks for calling in, dude. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks,
Take
bro.
care.
Thanks, man.
To the guy who wants to call in, you can call in. Just give me 1 second. I have to go to the bathroom. Guys, if you want me to stay and do another debate or something, I would appreciate hitting the thumbs up button, contributing to the gifting goal. That goal ended. We have to start a new goal. I would appreciate contributing to the gifting goal. It helps us get on the algorithm, hitting the thumbs up button, all that. I would appreciate it. I got to go to the bathroom bad. All right, let's get everybody to check in. If you are still here and not and you didn't fall asleep on me, I want you to check it in the chat. I'm pulling a fucking marathon stream right now for you guys, and I need you to check it. If you're still here, if you're still riding with me this late at night, if you're still here at midnight on YouTube, fucking check in, say I'm still here. Yeah, it motivates me. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if we can get through. All right, the phone lines are open. Some guy was begging to call 908-652-3703. I'm considering letting that dude call in right now. I was going to end the live, but 908-652-3703. If you are a Trump supporter, you better type in the chat right now if you're a supporter of mine. You better contribute to the gifting goal. You better do all those things right now to help push the live. I would appreciate it.
For us.
Because we don't have much left. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Okie dokie. Why do you support the war in Iran?
Because I'm an Iranian and I want my country to be liberated.
You want your country to be liberated. Perfect. All right, let's have that conversation. So is the objective liberation, or the argument is liberation, right?
Yes.
Sure. So this is one of the easiest debates to win. Does true liberation involve structuring your own government and picking your own leaders?
I mean, for start, you need to topple the evil regime first, and then talk about this stuff.
No. There's two parts, right? Because liberation's not temporary. So you say liberation is only killing their leader. Well, it's not if you install someone equally
No.
as
It's
evil, right?
toppling the whole regime. It's toppling the whole regime.
Right. Barb, thank you for the $1.99. Appreciate it here and loving the late night session. Thank you, Barb. Appreciate you. I rock you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. BCA, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Carly, thank you here to the end. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Carly. Appreciate you. Eris, thank you for the $2 Super Chat Marathon stream. Let's go. Let's fucking go. This dude's about to lose the debate too, but let's see. So you said liberation, right? So what I'm trying to explain to you is, right,
yes.
Let's just say hypothetically, I say I'm going to liberate Iran, and I say that I'm going to install someone twice as evil as the supreme leader, but I'm going to kill. Hold on,
right over there, right there.
Let me finish. Let's say that I'm going to liberate. My argument is that I'm going to liberate the Iranian people, but my strategy involves installing someone twice as evil, right, in terms of their human rights violations as the supreme leader. That wouldn't be liberation, right? The goal wouldn't be liberation. If the objective is liberation, it means structuring your own government. Donald Trump's already said that he needs to be the person who structures and decides who the new leader of Iran is, which means that would not be true liberation. So liberation can't be the objective. Bunny Bat, thank you so much for the $50 super chat. Let's fucking go, Bunny. Thank you so much. Go ahead, guest. Go ahead.
So let me tell you something really interesting. There is no form of government worse than a theocracy.
I agree.
Anything Trump. So we can agree. Okay, theocracy is the worst thing ever.
Right.
Because ideological dictatorships are way worse than non-ideological dictatorships, and religious dictatorships tend to be way more harmful than other type of ideological dictatorships, like communism. So there is no way that Trump could bring a regime twice as evil as this one, because this is
not
the
true.
Thing.
Not true. Tina, thank you so much, Tina. Hitler, for instance, was a dictator, right? Was that a theocracy? Tina, thank you so much, Tina. Appreciate you, Tina. Was Hitler a theocracy, sir?
I wouldn't say so, no.
Okay, so Hitler was not a theocracy, right? Totalitarian, totally different, right? A secular dictatorship. Yes. So they have a Führer, which is racial ideology. So if I put someone in there who is a proponent of racial ideology, reigning supreme with a Führer, right, and they commit human rights violations like concentration camps, you would argue the potential is worse than the previous government. So you can't just say, because it's theocratic, that it is the worst possible government and nothing can be worse, right? You would argue Hitler is worse than the supreme leader. So although they are absolutely human rights violators, and I agree with you, they are bad people and fuck them, and I shed no tears. You can't make this argument. It falls flat when you consider the fact that the Iranian people wouldn't then be structuring their own government. But furthermore, he wants the Iranian people to conduct the uprising, right? He wants the Iranian people to do the work because he doesn't want to put boots on the ground. How would you feel if you did the fighting to free your country? You get to the finish line, and Trump is at the finish line telling you, I'm going to install a Zionist as a guy. You know what he said the requirement of the new leader of Iran needs to be? That they like Israel, or they're nice to Israel. Like, that's not liberation, dude.
Yeah. But we kind of had that, what Trump described. We kind of had that before 1979. I'm not sure if you're familiar with modern Iranian history or no. But before
I am
1979
familiar,
revolution,
yes.
So you know that the Shah was kind of a Zionist or Western or something, and you know that this Shah was not perfect. I'm not really unlike many Iranians, I'm not him, but you cannot argue he was way better what we have today. So if we have to choose between what we have now and being a puppet of Israel, as much as I hate being a puppet of another country, as much as I would love for Iranian government to put the national interest of Iran first, if I have to choose and there is no other choice, Israel puppet is the obvious choice.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with. I understand what the like your perspective, because you're simply thinking, look, by any means necessary. I think the second part of my argument, besides the fact, and I think I got you to understand that there's, just because they're theocratic doesn't mean that you couldn't install a worse leader, right? And I think Benjamin Netanyahu is a prime example. I mean, that I don't think you would trust him to not install someone like Hitler. Hopefully you understand the evil that is the Zionist Benjamin Netanyahu. But I think I would say, furthermore, that, you know, this government, right, that is the Iranian government, has a particular strategy to avoid losing power because of decapitation strikes. So just in terms of their strategy, right, is it smart? Is it competent to kill the supreme leader and then effectively hope that it collapses the regime? No, right? They had a 3-point council set up.
No, as I said, you
hours
should
later.
do the regime change that you done in Iraq.
But Iraq's not set up the same way as Iran. So that's like you
How
say.
so?
Okay, because Iran has a particular government set up. They use a 4-point strategy. They use a council, and they have a military doctrine restructured at how the United States and Israel conduct their military strikes. Bunny, thank you so much, Bunny. Appreciate you, Bunny. So do you know what the Mosaic Doctrine is?
Not really, no.
So the Mosaic Doctrine is the IRGC, the Iranian military doctrine that essentially avoids complete collapse after decapitation strikes. And what they do is they essentially separate the military, right, into 31 different commands over 31 different provinces operating independently. They operate independently and can continue to fight even if cut off from the regime. So even if communication is effectively ended, they can still operate independently, and they use guerrilla warfare and so on. But the point is, it's structured at surviving a complete and total collapse of Tehran. So even if the regime collapses entirely, the military continues to fight until their very last bullet. Why is it set up that way? Why is it structured that way? Because Iran understands that you can't beat the U.S. military head-to-head. You can't beat the Israeli military head-to-head. So very intelligently, I might add, they structured a strategy that allows them to exhaust the U.S. and Israeli military politically and economically. So instead of winning head-to-head, they make winning for the U.S. an impossibility. They make it impossible to be victorious rather than winning themselves, right? And so that's why you see, like, the foreign minister, for instance, like, put boots on the ground. We're waiting for you. Their structure is designed to, they're trying to bait the U.S. in now to this long-term conflict, right? That's their idea of winning. So the U.S. decides, oh my God, this has just become overwhelming. They are in such a position that they're going to affect the global economy, right? Iran could quite literally put such pressure on the United States that it affects their relationship with their allies. They're not interested in winning a head-to-head war, but they're interested in exhausting us and sucking us into a years-long conflict. They want a multi-year, trillion-dollar bloody war because that's their idea of winning. Making it impossible for the U.S. to win. So studying the Mosaic Doctrine, understanding they have a strategy that focuses on exhausting the U.S. politically and economically, understanding their 4-point strategy, understanding that their government is designed at surviving decapitation strikes. When you look at the fact that the U.S. thought that they could come in and kill the supreme leader and a few other people and hope that it would spark an uprising, you then realize how idiotic, underprepared, and naive they were. That's why you see the
That
U.S.
was really
trying to arm the Kurds now, right? The Kurds have been betrayed how many times? Why would the Kurds trust the U.S. government? Really, they don't. But the U.S. government is
they don't.
desperate to spark a civil war because they don't want to put boots on the ground. And by the way, if you understand Iran, you said you're from Iran, you clearly understand the terrain and how difficult it would be to put U.S. boots on the ground there. It will be
the geography,
right. You know, the terrain and geography is really make it really difficult not only to put boots on the ground but to get them out.
I know, I am also an American citizen, so I'm Iranian and American, and I'm really upset about the situation because this war really kills innocent people in both sides.
Yeah.
But I mean, we gotta get rid of the regime somehow, because not just for Iranians, but also for Americans. Because you know what? Because even if Iran doesn't have nukes, let's actually agree that Iran never had nukes, doesn't have nukes, did not get nukes.
Well, they don't have nukes, but the argument is that they were weeks away from weapons grade.
Yeah, but let's say even that's not true. Okay, my problem is Iran is the biggest sponsor of terrorism. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They fund Houthis in Yemen. They fund Hamas. They fund Hezbollah in Lebanon. They used to fund Assad regime until it was, on power. They fund some Shia militias in Iraq. So what I'm trying to say is, as long all of these are your enemies, they threat your allies in the region. So I mean, in order to kill them all, you gotta take down the head of the octopus, because as long as you don't do that, the octopus is just going to grow new arms and create this other, terrorist group. So at one point, you got to kill the octopus,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is when you understand their government structure and their military strategy, you can't do it the way that the U.S. is doing. Listen, my argument largely depends on how they went about it, but I would also say that I think that the U.S. really doesn't face consequences from Hezbollah. The U.S. doesn't face consequences from Hamas. This is Israel's problem, not the U.S.'s problem. Now,
right, but
hold on, let me just clarify, because I understand what you're going to say next, because you're going to talk about the Iranian people. I'm not discounting the plight of the Iranian people. I certainly understand they are oppressed, and I absolutely am on board and would support them uprising against the regime and taking over. In the nicest possible way, that's not the responsibility of the U.S. government. Now, I know you could point to the Iranian Revolution and say ultimately it's the fault of the U.S. government. But at the same time, we've already lost 16 or 18 American citizens. Multiple young schoolgirls in Iran have died. I just don't think, I think outside of humanitarian efforts, I'd be totally on board with the U.S. maybe assisting with arms or something so the Iranian people can effectively kill these people. I'd be totally, I would probably be on board with that kind of thing. But this idea that we're involved specifically, conducting strikes, that's the problem that I have. Right, U.S. servicemen and women should not be in Iran.
Okay, but here's the thing: from the humanitarian perspective, don't you think you have some sort of obligation for your allies like Israel?
No.
Why not? They don't do they deserve to live?
No.
You're saying that Jewish people don't deserve to live.
Jewish people, Zionists. No, Israel is not our responsibility. We are not responsible.
So if someone just born in Israel didn't have any choice.
That's so what? Someone born in Iran didn't have a choice either. Listen, my fellow Americans, right, are dying right now. They're dying in Iran.
And who killed them?
Hold on.
That's the thing.
Excuse me.
IRGC killed those people. And somehow some people are somehow directing the anger at Trump.
Do you live in the U.S.?
Yes.
Okay. I just spent a significant amount of time in Minnesota. My federal government is killing them.
Is your federal government shooting bullets towards them?
Yes. I just spent fucking I don't know how long in Minnesota fighting against immigration customs enforcement. They were killing my fellow Americans. So what I'm saying is we have major issues here. I'm tired of seeing my fellow Americans set up GoFundMes so they can pay for insulin and then being fed this bullshit narrative by Zionists that, well, don't forget about Jewish people. Listen, let me tell you something. I love Jewish people. That's great. It's wonderful for them.
Okay.
If you live in the United States, I'm most concerned with you right now. That is, people in the United States are being slaughtered. They don't have health care. They don't have food. There are places in this country that don't have clean water. It is time to start thinking about my fellow Americans, and that's who I'm thinking about right now. I'm telling you, I saw this on the ground personally. The federal government dressed in fatigues coming out of federal buildings and assaulting my fellow Americans because they were protesting. That was the moment I decided I am fucking done. Done. We need to start worrying about protecting American citizens. We have major issues here. My country is on fire. On fire. They're about to make... Do you know what's happening to trans people right now? Do you know what's happening to women right now? They're trying to take away their ability to vote. We are losing our rights here. I'm sorry. I can't worry about what's happening in Israel. Enough is enough. Israel has gotten us into enough conflicts, endless bullshit, trillion-dollar bloody conflicts. Fuck Israel. I'm done with it. I want to cut ties with Israel. We need to start worrying about the United States. I'm done with the Middle East. You guys need to figure out your own fucking shit. I support the Iranian people uprising against their government. Go do it. I wish you the best of luck. In fact, I'd probably be on board with providing you arms so you could do it. But we have our own problems here, and that's what I'm worried about first and foremost.
But I actually appreciate your concern about Iranian people. But I have a question for you. So
yeah, because I'm always for the underdog. I understand that the Iranian people are oppressed, and I would totally, if it was laid out to me in a way that I thought would work, I would totally be on board with potentially providing them the weaponry to kill them all.
I appreciate that. But my question is, so you said that you didn't want this war to start, but now that it's started, and now that it might not end anytime soon, and especially because, like, if you're worried about Iran moving towards nuclear weapon, now Iran is more likely to get nuclear weapon, now that you attack. And
I'm sorry, what was that second part? Iran's closer to what?
So, Iran is more motivated to get nuclear weapons now that you attack.
Agreed.
My point is, like, now that you attack, even if you say the attack was wrong, now that you did, you gotta go all the way. You really don't have any choice. You can.
But that's the problem, friend, right? Like that's what I was trying to prevent from the beginning. I knew they were going to do this. I had been talking about it for several weeks. I hope they don't attack Iran. I think he's going to. I hope they don't. It's going to be a big mistake. Now we're in this position similar to Afghanistan and Iraq where it's like, well, now if we leave, it's worse for the Iranian people. It's worse for the Strait of Hormuz. It's worse for this. It's worse for that. That's why we need to stop getting involved in these wars. The United States needs to start worrying about the United States. I understand.
I know.
The Middle East is super complicated. The United States has to start worrying about themselves. I mean, it's just we're not the police of the world, and we need to abandon that strategy. It's garbage. It doesn't work. And by the way, if it worked, you'd be able to make a legitimate argument. Yeah, the United States probably should be the police of the world, right? But it doesn't work. Every time we've done this, it ends up worse than it was before. So it's just.
What about Nazi Germany? That worked very well.
What happened?
You toppled the Nazi regime, and now look at Germany.
What happened? No, that was a multi-country effort, number one. Number two, the United States did not engage in that war between 1939 and 1941. They didn't declare war until December 1941 when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. The United States was largely isolationist until we were attacked. So this wasn't some kind of like moral mission the U.S. went on. Because the U.S. watched Europe burn between 1939 and 1941. The only reason we got involved in that war is because they fucked around and found out. That's the only reason. If they had never attacked at Pearl Harbor, it's unlikely because the U.S. was extremely isolationist post World War I. After World War I, no one in the U.S. wanted to get involved in any geopolitical conflict. They wanted to mind their own fucking business. So yeah, it's totally different. That was a multi-country effort. That wasn't just the U.S. Liberating Europe. And understand the U.S. was late entering that war.
Well, also, but like the point is, I understand the motivation was different than today, but can you realize that U.S. involvement in Germany made Germany better, right?
The U.S. involvement in Germany. So this is a false equivalency, but I think I already kind of laid this out for you. The U.S. wasn't the leader in the liberation of Europe. We didn't enter the war, and we didn't declare war until December 1941. We largely watched Europe burn between 1939 and 1941. So the U.S. is really not the country you should be using as the shining example of liberation in that context either.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that part of your reason that your main objective is that you think that this U.S. government should focus on its own people and not in Iran and the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that. But my question is, do you also believe that, because many people say, do you also believe that this war will damage Iranian people, or you think that no, it might be good for Iranian people, but because the U.S. is the priority,
yeah, I'll explain it to you. Here's what I predict. So I think at this point, unless something changes radically, right, that the United States killed an 86-year-old man and put a person in power who's 30 years younger. At this point, it's been reported he's disfigured, he's injured, he's in a coma. I don't know what the truth is, but let's say he's alive and well. He's 30-something years younger than his dad. You killed his kids.
Yes.
You killed his father. You killed his friends. His
mother, everyone, yes.
Whatever. You killed everyone around him, right? So he's even more furious. So I think that I think once you leave, he's probably going to commit even worse atrocities against the Iranian people. And I think he's going to be 3 times as motivated to develop nuclear deployment capabilities and weapons-grade enriched uranium without considering any kind of negotiation with the U.S. That's why I've asked from the very beginning, what is the military, what are we doing specifically, militarily, within Iran to prevent the development of weapons-grade enriched uranium? You're claiming, and Bibi's claiming, that is the justification for doing what we're doing. Well, what are you doing militarily in the country to do that? They've gotten in there, they conducted the strikes, and they've kind of lost, any sight of an objective, and now suddenly it's about making sure you clear the Strait of Hormuz. They're going to claim, well, we destroyed most of their military assets. That doesn't prevent them from developing a nuclear weapon, and they're just going to rebuild them. And it's not going to take long. So I don't understand what the goal is here. I think they took a shot at provoking an uprising. They thought if they killed the supreme leader, you would provoke an uprising from the Iranian people. And when that didn't work, they didn't have a plan in place to prevent escalation. And I think that's what scares me the most about this war.
So the plan was to kind of inspire people to rise up themselves, but now that didn't happen, and now they're stuck and they cannot get out. That's what you're saying?
I think that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Okay. And you think it's a bad idea to, now that you're stuck, just go all the way in and topple the regime? Because the mosaic strategy.
I don't think I think you have no choice at this point to attempt to topple the regime. But I don't think it's possible the way that it's structured, because now they're underground. Do you realize how long it would take to successfully topple the regime now? It's going to take years. They're not going to find these
How many
guys.
years?
I don't know. It's going to take a long time, though. I would predict at least a few. And then here's the point. Let's pretend for a second that it takes a few years and you're still able to successfully topple the regime. What stops the power vacuum right? Because we've seen this historically multiple times. Every time we topple these regimes, we create these power vacuums, and then some other extremist takes over, and they're 20 times worse than the person that we killed. And then we're back in the same position. We've seen it in Syria. We've seen it in Iraq. We've seen it in Afghanistan. We've seen it in Libya. How many times is going to happen before we say, fucking this shit does not work? Because here's the thing, dude. You have to maintain presence in order for this to work. Do you realize how long we spent in Afghanistan training their military, trying to structure a legitimate government there? It took 48 hours for the Taliban to say, get the fuck out of the way, this is our country, and take back over. We spent 20 years there, and it didn't work. It didn't last for days. Days.
My question is, in Japan and Italy and Germany, when you topple those regimes, why didn't you create a power vacuum over there? Because you immediately filled the power vacuum.
Well, the difference primarily is going to be the ideological commitment. The Middle East is unique in that circumstance, and I think that's largely the reason we lost in Afghanistan. And that's something the U.S. government does not understand, and that's why people in sandals put belt to ass in Afghanistan for 20 years. Is the U.S. government and the U.S. military does not understand the ideological commitment aspect of this war. You killed their second. You killed their second to God, right? Like, you think they're just going to let that go? No, they're not going to let that go.
But you realize that while the supporters of regime, it's true that they're armed, but they're still a minority.
Right.
So
Correct.
after you take them down, majority of Iranians are not going to be angry.
Hold on, that's discounting. That's if you're able to kill the IRGC. That's why
that's what I'm talking about.
Well, we don't just get to skip over the fact that the IRGC still exists. That's why I explained to you, in terms of their restructured military strategy, the IRGC is going to break themselves up into 31 different groups over 31 different provinces, and it's not as easy as, we killed the IRGC. It's going to be very difficult to dismantle their military, right? They're going to fight until their very last bullet. That's why I referenced ideological commitment.
Yeah. I didn't know that, and actually, now that you enlightened me, it scares me a little bit, to be honest. But
there you go, man. I'm glad we had this conversation. Then I appreciate you calling in. Thanks for calling in, though. I'm getting tired, though. I appreciate you having the conversation, and look into the Mosaic Doctrine. You maybe can learn a little bit more about it.
Okay, I will.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Nice
Take
talking
care.
to you.
Thanks, buddy.
Have a nice day.
Take care. All right, guys. Anybody have any questions in chat, and we can talk a little bit more and just like debrief really quick, and then we're gonna check out. You know what I mean? If he is Iranian, then he knows him. He's supposed to do that. Well, so I think he referenced that. Like, I think he's pretty aware of that fact. Look at Afghanistan, for instance, which I say, yes, absolutely. Gel to the max. Appreciate you, buddy. You're right. Killed their Pope, right? What do you mean we don't want it to work? Do you know how incompetent some of the industry? Yeah, well, that's the same guy. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming and watching. Guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, I would appreciate hitting the subscription button, hitting the notification bell so you guys don't miss the conversations and all that. We had some good conversations tonight about the war in Iran. I think people are, at least on the right, are starting to recognize the problematic nature of this war, and hopefully we get through to as many people as possible. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you guys. Hope you have a wonderful night. Dude, we stayed on late tonight. Holy shit. I just checked what time it was. I didn't see it was this late. To the person there, Brendan, no, I do not think that is good strategically. No. I think it creates more risks than benefits. Whenever we have these conversations, people never discuss the risks, even if it indirectly pressures China or aids Ukraine in the short term. Appreciate you guys. If you're not following me on TikTok, make sure you do. It's the same name, adamcrai on TikTok. So I'm on TikTok. It's the account I normally stream on has like 175,000 followers or something. Go follow me over there. Appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful night. Take care, everyone. Be well. If you guys want to support, you can in the link tree in my bio, by the way. Appreciate you guys. It's also on my bio here on YouTube, I think, my Venmo. Thank you, everyone. See you in the morning. If you enjoyed the live, give your comments on the way out. Make sure you let me know you enjoyed the live and everything on the way out, everyone.